Welcome to Talking Esports Episode 2. I'm your host, ContactZero, and with me this week is Vince Clarke. Vince was a professional Counter-Strike 1.6 player for a short period of time, and then a manager for Choke Gaming up until recently. How are you doing, Vince?
Not bad. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. So with you, I want to start way back when you were a player of the scene, and as I just mentioned, you were playing Counter-Strike 1.6 back in 2001. How did you get started in the esports scene, and why?
Do you want to hear a story?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, so it was probably I think it was around about 2001. I was living in Wales at the time. Big shout out to all my Welsh boys in the channel. And I moved to Bristol, and I started work at PC World in Bristol, Winterstoke Road, near the Bristol City Football Stadium, and met a lovely lad called Chris Craddock, who's in the channel, I think, watching. We became friends, and one day I popped over to his house, and he was playing this game. It was a Half-Life mod. It was called Counter-Strike, and I was like, these are the 56k dial-up days. So it was, way back, obviously, when I was a young lad and not a OAP. And I was like, whoa, what's this game you're playing? He's like, Counter-Strike. So I was like, let's have a go. And he was like, no. And I was like, come on, man, let's have a go. So anyway, I got introduced then to this game, and I was playing this game. And I was just fascinated with the fact that I could be online, shooting at other people, very bad at the time, like just competing against other people or on a public server, just enjoying like online play. I'd never experienced online gaming before, and I think that was like, but so it was way back. So it was when online gaming first kind of took off, and I was just like, it's amazing. So I wanted to play more, and I just got the bug from there, and that was it. I was hooked.
So did you didn't have any other experience in other FPSs then? Was that the first one you played?
I'd played things like GoldenEye and Nintendo 64, and I'd played, I grew up with video games. So my first console was the Atari 2600, which was in the 80s. And I had the SNES, Mega Drive, and PlayStations and all that jazz. But yeah, that was my first online first-person shooter experience. I'd played Half-Life, so I kind of knew things like the keys, and I knew what to kind of do, and move the mouse around, but to aim. But I'd never played against other people. So the whole idea of me pitting my wits against other people is what really drew me to the game. Yeah, so that's how it started. So I never had any ambition then to become. I didn't even know there was an esports scene or competitive scene. I was just playing this game online against other people with a 500 ping. Just enjoying it.
So it was literally just a hobby for you then. You didn't intend to go, I knew about esports, boom, I'm going to go in and make it big. It's literally just hobby. You had a bit of fun, you were playing with your mate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was the early days of esports. There wasn't really a scene back then. There was a small competitive scene, but there was nothing made, and I didn't know about that until I'd delved deeper into the game. When I discovered things like IRC, don't know if anyone is in the chat who remembers IRC, when I discovered IRC and started making friends with other like-minded people that you'd meet in the server itself. So you'd be playing on the public server, playing a bit of CS Militia, and you'd some other guy would be there, and you start talking in game. Then you'd swap your MSNs. Remember MSN Messenger if anyone does, and you swap MSN. Then and then you start chatting on MSN, make a little call on that or whatever, and play together. There was I don't think even TeamSpeak was around then. Yeah. So there was nothing to do. I only just found out about competitive scene once I'd kind of made a few friends, and then they knew about it, and they showed me what it was all about. And it was only very small.
Is that why you hadn't joined the team for 2 years? Because obviously in 2003 you joined UKS Gaming. Can you tell us a little bit about what was UKS?
Well, UKS was already a team. So UKS was something that we started, me and my mate Craddock, who's in the channel, former tech esports owner. Successful console team. There you go, Chris. Big shout out to you. We kind of played together. We struggled to play together because of the dial-up connection. So we used to go to a local LAN center in Bristol called the LAN Rooms and play with other people. And we kind of made a little group, and it was called United Kingdom Specials. We were quite special because we weren't very good at the game. But that was the original. So it's called UK United Kingdom Specials, and we were real cheesy, and we called it UKS, and we were just a group of friends, and other people we'd have 50 people in our clan, because it was called clans back then, who just all frequented this one server, and that's how it started. And we would all just be on this one server playing with each other, and all trying to choose the same side against 15 other people on the opposite side. I can't remember what the 30-man servers. I can't remember how big they were back then. Public servers, and that's how it spawned. That's how it started.
Cool. So obviously your name was Blondeh. How did you come up with that
Yeah.
name?
So I didn't really know what to call myself, and I was in work one day, and I was like, everyone has these handles. I think I was just using Vince, and I was like, everyone's got these cool names, you know. I don't know, I can't remember the names, but they were cool names, and I was like, I don't know what to call myself. And then I think it was the security guard at PC World I was friends with said to me, why don't you call yourself something like from the Reservoir Dogs? It's a cool movie. So I thought of Mr. Blonde. So I was like, yeah, I'll be called Mr. Blonde. So that's how it started. I just used the name Mr._Blonde. Although I'm not blonde, but I acted very blonde in the game because I would grenade myself and kill my teammates and all kind of crazy stuff. And then... yeah, but from there, everyone called me Blondie. So I just then adapted Blondie into it when it was spelled Blondeh, or Blondeh as such, because it was cool to have EH at the end of your name at a certain period of time in early UK esports, yeah.
Just the same, it was cool.
And that's how the Blondie name came about. Yeah. Pardon?
I said it just as it was cool to have XX and the start and end of your name as well for a while. Yeah,
well, my mate Clarke actually was in the chat. His name was XX ** loco * XX or something like that. I can't remember. He'd have to type it in the chat for you to really get the feel for it, though. Yeah, I never had any cool like things in front of my name or after it. It was just Blondie or Mr. Blonde.
I'd just like to apologise. Yeah. I had your name down as @TheNewell, but I've just changed your name to @VinceALot, so the chat can stop having a go at me for having your name wrong. So we've sorted that out now. You played your first LAN event at I-18, is that correct? Mm-hmm. Like, as best as you can remember, can you tell me a little bit about that event?
Yeah, I can. So Insomnia 18, I think that was my first LAN. It was with United. It was with UKS. It was our first LAN together as a team. We'd been playing in Enemy Down and other stuff that was just low key. We decided to go to the LAN event to kind of test the waters and see what it was all about. That was in Insomnia 18. Yeah, it was at Newbury. Yeah, I remember it. In fact, I'm going to show you something. This is my Insomnia 18 pass. So this is a very long time ago. We're talking maybe 13. I'm not sure when that was. 2003, maybe Insomnia 18 was. 2004, maybe 2003. So it's a long time ago. And if you can see it on the camera there, I-18, Vince Clarke, Blondie, yeah, and that's it. Yeah, I've got some other old. Don't know. I found these actually when I was leaving the house. I didn't realize I still had them. But yeah, so that's an old pass right there. Yeah, so Insomnia 18. So we went there, and it was just basically so everyone who's in the channel now, if you've been to Insomnia, it's absolutely massive. Back then, it was literally you went in through the doors. There was a table on your right where you registered. You'd get your stickers for your PCs and all that jazz. There was a Domino's pizza table that was just stacked full of Domino's pizzas that people would order and bring in. And there was no exhibition hall. I think Overclockers used to have a PC that they would showcase, and you'd all enter with a raffle ticket and try and win this PC at the end of the show. And that was it. And downstairs they had a very small area where mainly where the admins were and a few gamers. And then upstairs, the first floor was just pure, just pure nerd heaven. Everyone was just like there is now in the big halls, just one big hall, with a few tents outside where people would camp in the racecourse fields because it was at a racecourse. There was no stages. There was no glorious big money checks. It was just a gathering of like-minded, sweaty nerds, all enjoying a video game.
How many people would be at that event? Like 500, 200?
There was close to 1,000.
Oh, really?
Close to 1,000. Even back then, it was really big, yeah. But surprisingly enough, the prices haven't really changed in a sense. It was around about £100 to go back then. It wasn't cheap. I mean, I remember going, actually, the first time I went, you had to bring your PC and your monitor. And I had to put my PC in my suitcase, and I had to carry my monitor, and it was a CRT monitor, not these flat screens we're all privy to nowadays, them big things. And I had this in the one arm and my suitcase in the other with some clothes in, and a sleeping bag, and was just getting on the train. And I think one of the tournaments, actually, I'd forgot my train ticket, and I had my PC with my suitcase with PC in, and there was no lifts at this Coventry station. So I had to carry it over the steps. Well, this time we're talking 2003. It wasn't that long after 9/11, and I left my suitcase on the ground and said to this couple, "Do you mind watching this a minute while I just nip to the thing?" And everyone just ran away from the station. They all ran off from this suitcase, thinking it was Yeah, it was going to be a bomb or something. It was kind of, everyone got pretty scared. Right? I found it quite funny, but yeah, it wasn't at the time. So I ended up having to buy a ticket on the train, but I was able to do that. I was worried I couldn't, but yeah. No one would watch my suitcase for me thinking it might be a bomb.
Even at I-54, there was a guy actually sat like maybe 2-3 places away from me, and he brought his CRT monitor with him. I don't know how he bothered to bring it, but like he was actually playing Counter-Strike 1.6 on it as well. It's like, God, he's still living in the old days, man.
Yeah, man, still living in the past. I still live in the past, I think. I need to realize I'm getting old now and getting grey, so I need to stop playing as many video games. No. But yeah, no, Insomnia was different back then. Yeah, I-18, it was great. We all wore these black, I still had it until recently, I don't know what it is now, a black polo shirt, and it just said our name on the back with UKS written on it. And I can't remember where we placed. I think it was like 5th or something. It was in the top 8 anyway. We had a great time. I managed to meet up with people that I'd never met before. We were all friends online, so it was good fun. And after that, I was hooked, and I thought I want to go to more of these events, and I want to get better at the game, and I want to become a competitive player.
So obviously, from there, you went to a few different LANs. A lot of them were I-Series LANs. Some not so successful, but you eventually went to I-23 in 2005. Yep. And spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know and wasn't obviously watching the scene back then, Vince won that event. In 2 years, did you notice any changes to the scene?
In the 2 years, no, there wasn't much change then. The scene had kind of stayed the same in the sense that there was only small prize pots. The only major tournaments were things like the CPL, which are no longer out there. The only team really that qualified for the big tournaments was a team called Four Kings. They were the ones that had sponsorships from Intel and big companies. There was no Steel Series. There was no Razer. Companies didn't know what esports was. Esports was still kind of a term that even people that were in esports laughed at and going, we're not a sport. We're just people playing video games. No, even the gamers themselves didn't adopt the esports name. So it was so different back then. And within those 2 years, not much changed. There was talk of like AMD got involved and created a UK team called Team AMD Gamer. There was more people getting involved back then, but it was still very new. It was still very it was still in its early stages, and you'd speak to people and say, "Oh yeah, esports," and they'd be like, "What sports? What the hell are you talking about?" And then imagine talking to these big companies; they didn't know what you're talking about, and they would even kind of laugh like, "Esports? What's he going on about?" Just like playing a video game. So no one really knew what it was. But even in them short two years, nothing really changed. For example, Insomnia 23, which I was fortunate to go with and win, it was a £1,000 prize pool to be split between 5 people. Can you imagine? We had no sponsorship. The only sponsorship we did have actually was from Steel Series. They'd only just launched. They gave us some headphones to try it because we were one of the better teams in the UK. We were in the top 3, top 5. And they gave us some headphones to use, and that was as far as sponsorship went. Maybe you get a server or a TeamSpeak or a Ventrilo server, and this company came out and gave us some headphones, so it was cool. But yeah, so imagine £1,000 between 5 people. You've had to pay for a ticket, your own travel, everything. We're not privy to these sponsorship deals that teams that get nowadays. Yeah, we'd have to split £1,000 between ourselves, and that was the main difference. Nothing else had changed. There was some tournaments for stages, but Insomnia hadn't adopted the stages yet. So when we played, we played from our desks, like in I-25, I-23 even, and just because I've got my memorabilia out, a little certificate there. Look, there it is, framed as well. Keep it on the wall to remember the good times. CS 1.2 Pro Champion. There it is. There's the name, Blondeh. Good boys. Big shout out to everyone who was in the team that day. Headshot Man, Mega Man, Xenomorph, and Matt. Good fun. I think I've still got the I-23 LAN pass down there as well. And I've actually still got, believe it or not, because I'm a massive nerd, the same T-shirt that I wore. It's a bit faded now, but there's the logo.
Boom.
And then at the back, it's got my name and the logo. And it's a medium. I don't fit into it anymore. I'm more of an extra large kind of guy. But yeah, I've still got the T-shirt. Sometimes I wear it and run around shouting LAN champion. No, I don't really.
Right, so obviously in those 2 years where it led up to that event, you hadn't won anything. You did place. You did come 3rd and 5th and 7th in a couple of events. Was it demotivating?
Yeah, some weren't notable. Pardon?
Was it demotivating for you to not obviously win anything? Did you?
No, I never really went to win. I went to be the best I could be. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed the rivalries. There was a lot of rivalries back then. Can you imagine, difference in the scene? I mean, you think about then, when we were seeded first in the United Kingdom and Ireland clan-based tournament, We were seeded first out of 250 UK teams, UK and Ireland teams, 250, more than 250 teams. So we were our team was very popular. People used to ask for autographs on mouse pads, and that was all alien as well back then. It's more acceptable now, but then even more so, it was really weird. If someone said, "Yo, can you sign my mouse pad?" You were like, "Well, what the hell is this all about?" And we were fortunate. I think the ESEA was not long launched. They invited us to do this thing. We play with a pro, with Four Kings and stuff, where people got the opportunity to play with like myself and other people. So I mean, I went to some lands. I didn't win, top 5 and all sorts of stuff, but it was good fun, and I went purely for the enjoyment of it. Meeting up with my friends, meeting up with people and playing. If we won, great. If we didn't, we didn't. That was, it was just, it was lovely to win, but we couldn't win everything.
So it was definitely more of a hobby for like the entirety of your career, more than like as we were talking about.
Yeah,
like an eSports.
It was more of a hobby because, don't get me wrong, I say it was like a hobby, but I sat there on my PC for 10 hours a day straight trying to be the best I could be. I would be playing death matches, I'd be playing on aim maps, I'd be playing practice clan wars, PCWs we called it back then. I'd be playing with friends. I'd be playing in gathers. I was always playing. I couldn't stop playing. I got the bug. I was hooked. I was playing Counter-Strike when I woke up until I went to bed. One of my houses, in fact, one of my first houses when I moved back to Coventry, where I had my PC was in the front room. It was a 2 up, 2 down house. So we had you walked straight into one room through the front door. Then there was another room, kitchen, bathroom, the bottom floor, 2 bedrooms upstairs. Well, I used to sit there, gaming away, and then I'd order a Domino's, and I could literally, like with my cable, roll to the front door, open the door, get my Domino's, and come straight back to my desk and just eat it as I played CS. I didn't even have to move from where I was sat. I think I went outside, just to go and get bread and milk. But yeah, so don't get me wrong, it was a hobby, but it was a hobby that I was addicted to. It was something that I couldn't get away from. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't go to sleep. I was sleeping about CS, eat, sleep, and drink Counter-Strike. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I wanted to become a pro. There was times when I wanted to get to the CPL finals and get to the big stuff, but there was such a big gap. And also there was not the support needed, and you needed to work, and you couldn't work and be good at the same time. And there was back then, it wasn't like it is now. There was no real, even now still, there isn't a real opportunity unless you make it to the big time. But it's starting the money's starting to filter down to the lower, to the less skilled or to the lower tier side of esports. Whereas before then, there was never any, you might have one team from the UK that had full land support or salaries. Now there's multiple organizations that can offer that. But back then you couldn't, and there was no real ambition. And even then, like my dad used to be on my case, like, come on son, get a job, stop playing video games. And my mum would hate it, and everyone hated it. They all thought I was like some super nerd, and I was. But this was before consoles. This was before Facebook. I was using things like SoGamed, which became the SK Gaming website, which was like the original social media kind of sites before Facebook. So my mates take the mick out of me. You put, you're online chatting to people via these websites, and you're playing video games online. What do they do now? They're all on Facebook, and they're all playing on their Xboxes or PlayStations. So they're no different to how I was back then. We were just, the founders. We were like the early guys doing it. But no, definitely, I wanted to become good at it. But deep down, I knew I had to get a job, and I couldn't commit to it.
Right. So when you were saying about the fact that it was like £1,000 for the first place, did that filter down to like second and third place? Did they get any of it?
Yeah, they got cash prizes. Yeah, they got cash prizes. It might be like £200, £100. It wasn't really worth.
So in like,
it wasn't really worth. Yeah. It might have bought you a beer or something at the bar.
So in like 15 years, it's maybe like been double the price pool or something.
Double, triple. Like now it's like for, let's say, Counter-Strike, for example. I think the last one, it was $7,500. Okay, prize pool over so it was 2.5 for first place. It was 2.5 now, regardless of. I think it was 3,225 for first place at the recent Insomnia for CS:GO. And normally it's 2,500 if it's a £5,000 prize, prize pot. So yeah, it's double and a half, I guess. Yeah.
It's not a lot of.
So it's not a lot, really. Not considering. And I hate to say it, multiplayer. Hello, you're making, more. It's not. You're not stupid. You're making more money than you were previously. But then I don't. The costs have gone up as well. So who knows? But yeah, why there's not more investment? I don't know. Why is there no prize pools not bigger? I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. But I'm sure it will only increase, and the more companies get involved, the more sponsorships that get people that companies getting involved to sponsor these things, the more the prize pool can go up, and more money will be invested, and then that will just happen over time. But it's going to happen a lot quicker than it did back in the day.
I'm sure they have their reasons, but it just seems like they're more concentrating on like the Minecraft side of things. Like people joke around calling it Minecon version 2. I mean, the prize pools, like they stop in like some tournaments. They started Heroes of the Storm, and it was just an absolute shambles, and only like 7 people took part. And now they saw, oh well, no one's interested in it. But it's because they like advertised it maybe like a day before or something. So of course no one's gonna know about what's going on. We were actually gonna join it, but because of the late notice, we didn't manage to band anyone together.
Yeah, I think Heroes of the Storm was a massive fail. I'm not sure whose fail it was, whether it was Blizzard not giving any multiplayer enough information or multiplayer announcing it. I don't know, but I think that they announced it like 2 weeks prior to the LAN tournament where tickets had already sold out. It wasn't the best start for Heroes of the Storm in the UK, I don't think. As far as I'm aware, multiplayer, I don't know. I don't know if they're supporting it. I don't think they are in the future, at least not in the near future anyway, which is a real shame. I think it's a quality game. It's my favourite MOBA at the moment to play because I'm kind of good at it. I'm terrible at League of Legends and Dota. I don't even know what I'm doing. I can't even understand why you can't go back, why you have to walk back. I don't get it. But it's my favourite MOBA to play. I'm hoping that we'll see more of it. I don't know what they did there. It was a bit of a cock-up, Heroes of the Storm, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was funny because there was only 7 teams who took part, and obviously top 8 got prize pools, so literally everyone who took part in it got
everyone got a prize pool,
everyone got money, so it's not bad, really, investment.
Josh, you know Josh Zodek, he won. Yeah, he deserved it. He's a Insomnia champion in various games now, or in 2 games at least. Yeah, maybe Hearthstone will be the next one.
Maybe.
Look, he's just said in the chat it was a massive success. He made 500 quid. For Josh, it was a massive success, but for everyone else, it wasn't.
So we went on a little bit of a tangent there. Obviously. No, it's cool. Do you remember winning the finals for I-23? Was it on a stage? Was the stage then, like 5 I-Series later, was there still nothing at all? Like, was it streamed?
There was no stream. It was on Half-Life TV. So back in the day, there was a thing called Half-Life TV that you would connect to via the Counter-Strike client, the Half-Life client, to watch games. You type in the IP and you would tune into the game. And sometimes you could have 500, 1,000, a few thousand people watching, but it couldn't hold that many, and not many people were interested. Watching something online, not many people knew how to connect to it. It wasn't like there was no Twitch TV, there was no YouTube, there was no streaming outlets. It was done through the game. If you didn't have the game, you couldn't watch it. Don't get me wrong, I used to stay up all night to watch the CPL finals in America, and we'd all be tuning in via HLTV. There'd be thousands of people. But just like it is now, Insomnia back now still doesn't have massive viewered numbers, and back then it didn't either. And it was we were playing from our PCs, so we were playing at our desks. And we were, behind us would be a large crowd of people watching from our perspective. The other team was somewhere else in the hall, and I'm sure they would have a crowd of people watching them as well. But the I-23, I think we were the favourites to win it. We had quite a lot of people, kind of watching us play and introducing themselves, and we made a lot of friends with a lot of people. And we were just sat there playing I remember the final. And I remember being ecstatic that we won it. I remember cheering my head off. I'm a passionate guy when it comes to esports, going absolute nuts. And I was just really happy to finally go to a tournament, because I think prior to that I'd got top 5 and stuff like that. And I was happy to go and actually win a tournament, and kind of, just win a tournament. And so I came and I arrived. Now just to say, I've done it. I've won a tournament, and it was nice to go in as favourites. It was nice to win it. There was a little scare. We didn't think at some point we were going to win because the team we were up against were pretty good. But we did win it. I think we won it. I don't think if we won it comfortably, but we did win it, and it was good to win. It would have been a bit of egg on our face had we not won it, because we were seed first and favourites to win it. But no, it was really enjoyable. I had a great time with all the guys that were there. I had a great time meeting all the people I met. It was just really fun. And even back then, you couldn't sleep at your desk. So, we just stayed up all night drinking beer and Red Bulls and whatever else we get our hands on, eating pizza. But it was good. But there was no stage. It was different to what it is now. There was no emphasis made on it. There was no emphasis made on the finals. No one really, and outside the event, yes, there would be talk about it on local website, on community websites, but there was no hype.
So, did you practice a lot before going to LANs? Did you have any scrims with other people, or did you literally just roll up to the event and hope for the best?
Well, we were known, Choke Gaming back then. We were known. We had a large roster, we didn't play to the norm. So a lot of teams would have 5 or 6 players with a sub, 5 players and 1 sub, and they would practice. One thing that people didn't like about us was the fact that we could have 10 people in our team, turn up with any one of them players and still win, be it an online tournament or a LAN tournament. We never played, I think, ever once with the same 5. We would, or maybe we did a few times, but we would always be mixing it up a little bit. It was ever who was available. We all had jobs. We all couldn't commit to practice times and stuff. And I think that's one reason why people didn't like us, because we used to just turn up and roll teams. Sometimes we turned up half cut from having a beer at the pub before, and we'd still go and be beating these teams because the skill gap was a lot bigger then as well. So if he was really good, from being like the best to the worst, there was a massive gap. Not so much now. It's getting bigger because more people are getting back involved with Counter-Strike, for example. But at the moment, like in the UK, there's like 10 teams that could all potentially go in, or maybe 7 or 8 that could potentially go and win an Insomnia if they put the right amount of practice in. They're very close together. But back then it wasn't. There was like a few teams at the top and no one could touch them. But yeah, I think prior to Insomnia, we didn't practice. In fact, I think it was a case of, who can go? I can go. Yeah, I can go. Okay, let's go. And we just turned up. We just turned up and we played. We'd all played together, in games together. So we all knew how each other played, but we didn't specifically go, right, we're spending 8 hours a day. We're going to practice these maps prior to the tournament. We didn't. We just turned up, had some fun. Yeah, won.
So was that not difficult for you as well, though, not knowing who you'd be playing with? Because surely you'd have synergy better with some of the players than the others.
Believe it or not, no, it wasn't. Yes, we had some people in the team that were better than others, definitely. We had some people that could were better with the AWPs or AKs or M4s or whatever it was. But we had such a strong... The amount of... Say we had 8, 9, 10 players in our team. Every single one of them was really good. So you could literally turn up and compete. And sorry, I'm going to say hello to Sam in the chat. Hey, Sam, 611. How's it going, brother? And we would turn up and we would be confident that we could place well. We could do well, and we never took it too serious. We were very much a fun team. We used to go and enjoy ourselves, have fun, make friends. And we were a little bit older than everyone. As you can see now, I'm still a little bit older than everyone, just a little bit. We were in our early to mid-20s. A lot of gamers were still like 16, 17, 18. We were a different kind of a different level of maturity at the time, so we did different things to other games would do. We wouldn't. It's hard to say. Yeah, we would just go and do our own thing, go and drink and whatever when they couldn't, because they were too young or something. But yeah, we were a bit older generation, so we did different things different.
So over those,
it was just.
Go on.
Sorry, carry on. No, carry on.
Yeah. So over those 3 years that you played as with Choke or with UKS or different teams.
Yeah.
Like some of the people you played with were like Lock1, Katori, Xenomorph, and Extreme, and some of the players that you mentioned in your list before. Like, what was it like playing with these guys? Do you remember like how you?
I do. I do remember. Yeah, I do remember some of them more so than others. Katori, for example, was the clan leader, and he was a bastard in the sense that he was horrible. If you were playing bad, he was horrible to you. But he was horrible in a way that made you want to do better. And when you was really good, he would praise you and be like, "Yeah, that was really well done, Vince," or "Well done, Blondie." But if I did something wrong, he'd be like, "Fucking hell, Blondie, you fucking shit." Sorry for the language, guys. You beep. And at first you'd be like, "Oh man, I really tried." Sometimes even if you thought you did well, he'd still give you a bit of jip for it. But he was like very up and down. And sometimes if he died, he'd blame everyone else. But he was cool. And then there was Loki who played. He was like the team caller. That guy, if he wasn't wall hacking, then he was a clairvoyant in the sense that he just knew everything about everyone. He could read teams. He was so good. He was kind of our secret weapon. Most of the games we didn't win was when he wasn't involved, because he could just call a strat, and he could anti-strat anybody. He was very clever, and he could frag as well. He didn't hack, but he didn't cheat, but he was just very clever at the game. Extreme was a very strong M4 player. But he had a bad temper on him. So if he did bad, he would tilt, and he would tilt hard, and he would cause the whole team to tilt. But he was a nice guy, and he loved his game. And he actually quit to play WoW. He just found WoW, and he lost the love for CS and played WoW. Other players in the team, Xenomorph was a bit of a beast with the AK. Headshot Man, self-explanatory. The guy would just take heads off left, right, and center for jokes. Mega Man, he was pretty mega. He was just a funny guy from up north. I think, where's he from? I don't know, Yorkshire or so. He's from up north somewhere. Hell of a guy, quality guy. And then we had Gazzy. He was like the stoner of the team. He would walk up, just you wouldn't even know what day, time, the planet it was, but he could still kill. He would still be really good at the game. And he was a top guy as well. Me and him used to meet up quite often and go to this LAN called Game On for fun in Utoxeter, which I think now is Epic LAN, but back then I think it was called Game On. That's what I think, and I'm not sure when the transition happened. But we should just meet up and play Battlefield and have fun and get drunk and stuff, and enjoy the game. But yeah, there's some of the personalities of the players. Yeah, they were a good fun bunch to be around. Good fun.
So after I-23 and at the end of 2006, you stopped playing competitive CS 1.6.
Yeah.
Like, what was the reason for this? Like, it's a pretty short stint. It's only 3 years.
Yeah, mainly because it just wasn't sustainable. The game, you just couldn't sustain yourself playing a video game. I was now 25. I'm not sure what month it was, but I was turning 26 that year. I really had to start thinking about work more. This is how I used to do it. I would work for a couple of months, 3 months. I'd go and get a job, a really crap job somewhere to earn some money. I was fortunate. I was living in a house that my dad bought, and he would cover the mortgage if I didn't have the money at the time. He was nice like that. God rest his soul. But I used to go and work a job for a few months, and I'd still play CS. And then I would quit that job. I'd save up my money, quit it, and survive, on the bare minimum for the next 4 or 5 months playing a video game. And then when my money ran out, I would go and get another job, and that's pretty much how I did it. But I needed to not sort myself out, but I needed to concentrate on getting a job, a career, etc. And moving forward in my life. And video games weren't that option at the time. Counter-Strike was coming to the end, not really to the end, but Counter-Strike Source was introduced. A lot of people were making it change over to that. I weren't interested in Source. I played it once, thought it was terrible, and I didn't want to be bad at a game. I didn't have the time to commit to be good at something, to relearn something or to being good at something again. So I decided that I would play casually. I would take a step back from being competitive, play casually, and still enjoy. Still play with the guys from Choke, friendly matches, and still meet up and still go to LANs maybe. I don't think I did. I might have done, but I can't remember. But just mainly play with friends for fun and just carry. I think I did that up until about 2008 when I completely stopped playing games like for more than an hour or 2 hours an evening.
I mean, I struggle at the moment with everything that's going on. I've played one game of League of Legends this year. It's pretty annoying.
Wow.
Overall, what was your experience as a player? What was your fondest memory? I imagine winning probably is, but...
Yeah, winning the Ice Series was a fun memory. Sorry, say that again. What was my experiences like?
Yeah,
they were just
your
fun.
Overall experience, as a player.
Overall, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I kind of wish I was young now, because... back then, there was just no Twitch. There was when I Choke Gaming, for example, we used to have 500 people in our IRC channel, right? I would log on and people would get bombard me with questions. What is your aim? What config you're using? What are your rates? What's this? What's that? What mouse pad do you use? What mouse do you use? They ask you all sorts of questions. We were popular. I believe if we were to freeze time, take all the guys from then and then put it in eSports right now, I think we would be enjoying it a bit more. We'd be looking at it and think we can stream. We had a fan base. We had people that respected us for our abilities and people that, there was a time when I was disliked a little bit as well when I first joined Choke. A lot of people thought I wasn't good enough to play for them. So I got a bit of hate, unfortunately. I think there was one time when one of the funniest times when I was watching this game. It was a CPL fan. I think SK Gaming and Nip were playing, and I said hello in the chat. And I was tagged up as Choke Blondeh because I just played the PCW. I said hello because one of my mates in the chat. And all of a sudden, someone was like, "Oh, look, it's Choke Blondeh." Then there was also somebody was called SK Blondeh, the Nip Blondeh, MTW Blondeh. Every pro gaming clan you could think of was suddenly something then Blondeh. And all these people were just taking the piss, Vince is they were just saying why are you playing for Choke? You're not good enough. And they just kind of trolled the chat, but it was quite funny. Looking back, it was funny. But I remember I was a little bit upset about it. That was one of the funny moments. Yeah, one of the other funny moments was when my Mega Man stole a pizza from the pizza desk at Insomnia. That was a pretty funny moment. I don't know if you've got time for me to go into that story, but basically, in a nutshell, the guy that was this guy wanted to be our team manager at the time. He was quite a big lad. He enjoyed his food. Anyway, we're all trying to paint a picture here for everyone to understand. So we're all just gaming away. And at Insomnia, you've got your table numbers on the table, so you know where you're sitting. So let's say I'm in T1, then Mega Man's in T2, and then my manager's in T3. Let's just go with those numbers. So anyway, we're just sitting there. Me and Mega Man are like, yo, should we get a pizza or something? I'm hungry. We're like, yeah. Does anyone else want a pizza? And then Chris is like, nah, man, I got one on order. I'm cool. We're like, all right, so we're like, come on, Paul, let's go down and order a pizza from Domino's. Anyway, so we walk down, go down the escalator, go to the thing. We're like, wow. And there's just, imagine this table, and it's just stacked full of pizzas. And Mega Man's like, yeah, Vince, should we just rob a pizza? And I'm like, dude, we can't just rob a pizza. And he's like, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. Let's rob a pizza. And I'm like, no, we can't. He's like, look, I'll grab it. You just watch my back. So I'm like, oh, okay. So he grabs this pizza. I watch it back. No one's going. We run up the escalator and go back. Anyway, we sit down, and he opens it up, and we're like, yeah, we got a pizza. I'm fucking eating this pizza, and we're like offering it around to everyone. We say, Chris, do you want a slice? He's like, no, it's cool. Mine's on its way. Hey, Matt, do you want a slice? He's like, no, yeah, okay. We're passing it around. We're eating this pizza, having a beer, and we're enjoying ourselves. About an hour later, and Chris is sat there with like a really angry face. He's like, we're like, what's up, Chris? He's like, fucking pizza hasn't arrived. We're like, wow, what did you order? And he's like, a mighty meaty. I was thinking, me and Paul just had a mighty meaty. It was lovely. And then I said, you should have had a piece of mine. He's like, nah, it's all right. So then an hour and a half, more time passes, and he's still there's no pizza. And we're just like, why is this guy not got his pizza yet? It's like, you better go and complain. Anyway, I look to my left, and the box is there, empty box of pizza. And the number of the table that's written in marker pen on this box just happens to be his table number. And we've just sat and ate his pizza in front of him. We didn't even realize. And the guy's there, like, he's a big lad, and he was starving. Yeah, that was one of my fondest moments. Me and Paul, Mega Man, we still talk about that now. Yeah, it was one of our highlights. But we stole his pizza. Out of all, and I'm talking, this table had hundreds of pizzas on. It was like the odds on stealing his pizza was so ridiculous. How did we manage it? And I remember just hiding the box. Me and Paul looked at each other. We couldn't stop crying with laughter. We just put this box in the bin. Yeah, that was one of my fun moments. One of my best moments at that.
Did he ever find out?
No, he never. No. So I doubt he's watching this now. He's probably not watching this now. He got another pizza in the end. We found kind of bad because this was the first time, because he was our manager. He was the guy who got us the SteelSeries sponsorship and stuff, and he was looking at investing his own money into us, and he went to this land to see how well we'd get on. But he never did. No, he left after that.
Oh man!
But we stole his pizza.
Did he get a replacement?
Chris, no, I think he went and bought another one. Oh, but we're sorry about that, Chris. If you're watching, I doubt you are. I do apologise about your pizza. We offered you a slice, you refused to take one. Yeah, but that was one of my fun moments. But no, I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed being part of it. I enjoyed going to LAN tournaments as well, and I kind of enjoyed look, it's Chuck Gaming. Oh, look, it's these guys. Yeah, they're gonna win. And I remember standing there this one time. We were all talking. I'd never met these guys before. And we were talking. We had a beer, and it was like, oh yeah, you guys play CS. Yeah, okay, cool. And, we weren't wearing any gaming apparel, just normal tops. And what's your name? What's your name? And as people were talking, like I remember I was just listening into it, and they were like, oh, do you think it's gonna win? And they were like, yeah, Choke Gaming's probably gonna win. And then they were like, oh, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, Vince. And they're like, oh, what's your gaming name? And I was like, Blondeh. And they were like, oh shit, Choke Blondeh. Oh wow, how's it going? So I missed that, and being considered like, I guess in the top 30 players of the UK, there was some good gamers back then. Top 20 maybe, I don't know. But it was nice fun to be kind of recognised for being good at something. I miss that.
Yeah, I do enjoy that when you get to go to like LAN events, or well, obviously just iSeries, and you get to talk to all your friends, and even some people come up to you and be like, "Oh, are you ContactZero?" And be like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I talked to you on whatever," and I'm like, "Oh right, that's you." And it's like you just get to know people that way. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you get to meet a lot of people. I love gaming. I love going to LANs. It's great fun.
So one last question on you being a player. What advice would you give to someone who would want to obviously become a professional like gamer, or like in the scene now? Like how would they get involved to get onto a team?
The scene is still very much who you know rather than what you know or how good you are. Unless you're prepared to kind of put yourself out there and play. My advice to anyone who wants to get involved in video games now is very much as the same advice I'd give anyone 10, 15 years ago. You just have to play, and you have to get noticed. And the only way to get noticed is the one way you don't get noticed is by finding a team that you like, that you want to be a part of, and pestering the players and asking them questions all the time and being like, like nowadays, I'd imagine it'd be all over, Facebook. Imagine being the guy and you're getting messaged by this one guy on Facebook all the time, and this one guy on Twitter keeps DMing you, PMing you, pinging you, like on Skype, trying to add you on Skype, trying to ask you questions because they do your head in. So if you want to get into a team that you really like, the best thing you can do is just try and get games against them. Try and enter tournaments they're involved in. The only way to get noticed is to be there and playing. And the same, I get a lot of people say to me, what's the point in going to an Epic LAN or iSeries if I can't win and don't make my money back? It's just the wrong way of thinking. You need to go, play, and enjoy it for what it is. Play because you love the game. Play because you're with a group of people that you enjoy playing the game with. And if you win, great. If you don't, enjoy it. Just have fun. And if you're good enough, if you want to be good, you will get noticed. Like football, people get scouted. Someone will notice you. They'll go, oh, wow, that guy, man, racked up 30 frags against us. He's pretty good. And then maybe and you do it again consistently, and someone might come along and go, Jay, do you want to come play for us? And that is the best advice I can give you is just play the game, practice the game, become good at it, and enjoy it. And if you don't practice, you're not good at it, and you don't enjoy it, you'll never get anywhere. That's what you're gonna do.
Definitely, not even that. It's like you just have to enjoy the event that you're at. Like even not just to play it, just enjoy the people and the company that you have around you, because you can network just by talking to people. Never mind your skills in game.
You can network with people, and sometimes you can get along with people, and they think, oh, actually, his skill level isn't as good as ours, maybe, but he's a good lad, and he'll improve. And you might get picked up like that, or become a friend of a team, and when an opening comes up, they might bring you in. But yeah, definitely, my best advice is you just got to have fun, man. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it, and good things will happen if you put the time and effort into it.
Yeah, because, I mean, just to follow up on that point, there are definitely people, I wouldn't say in the UK scene, I can't think of anyone on top of my head, but there's people I know in like League of Legends, in pro scene, they're really good players, but they're highly, highly toxic, and that doesn't work for the team environment. It brings people down, and then in the end, the team just goes to shit, basically.
Yeah, no one wants to be with someone. No one wants to be. You don't want a bad egg in your team. You don't want someone who's going to tilt the team if someone's got a bad attitude. Them kind of people don't succeed either. You have to be. You have to have a real cool. One of the things you need to do is you need to recognize your own mistakes, and you need to improve on what it is you're not good at, and you need to you need to realize what I used to know what I wasn't good at. I could never throw grenades in 1.6. They were like throwing bricks. They just kind of floated in the air. I made my own team. I still do it now. I got a Twitch highlight on YouTube of me like Molly and myself, but. I was sorry for burping down the mic. I used to have, you just need to practice things you're not good at, but you also need to practice the things you're good at to stay on top of it. But yeah, you can't be a bad egg. Yeah, you got to be a good egg, as Loco's saying. You don't want people in your team that rage all the time. They're just kind of people you want to be with. So if you're a rager, sort your attitude out. You can be angry in a good way. There's a way to come up. There's no point. If you're in a game, let's say, and you're playing, and you're like, yeah, there's 1B, there's 1A, and someone kills you, there's no point going, fuck, you need to have cool communication. How many were there, and where did you die? That's all you need to say. And then you can turn your mic off and shout and scream at the wall, but don't do it in the game. There's another piece of advice. Yeah, and just breathe deep, and then just crack on. And the same with League of Legends. It's very easy. I do it when I play League of Legends. I take it all day because I'm terrible at it. And I just... and I respond when someone says something horrible to me. My fingers take over, and I end up surprised I've not been banned yet for being toxic myself. I don't even follow my own, but I'm not trying to be good at the game. So I'm just playing it just to learn. I still learn in League of Legends as a sense. I'm still learning how the game works, and still learning champions. But I don't play it anyway. I don't play much of it anymore.
I think that's why coaches are so important, because there's players that are obviously. No matter what way, if you try and get a point across to try and help someone improve, it always sounds wrong. Like, it doesn't matter if you say it in any kind of way, it always sounds like you're trying to be offensive.
Unfortunately, there are some players who will never ever accept anyone's opinion but their own.
Yeah. That.
And they if you can't work with managers and coaches, can't work with you, you're no good. In a sense, you need to become available. You need to listen. At least if you don't care what they're saying, pretend to care, pretend to listen, and try it when they're not around. So actually, you might be right. So you can save face. Some people don't want to be seen as being wrong. So maybe you can just go, all right, yeah, thanks. I'll take you. I don't agree with it. I'll take it on board. Maybe I'll try it out. And then they try it out, and they're in a different game, not a competitive one. They're playing solo queue or whatever. Oh, actually, he was right. and then they go back and do it, and nothing will be said about it. Don't say anything about it. And you go back and you do what he said you do, and he won't even probably notice, or he might notice and think, "Oh, he did listen to me," and you've still saved face. You haven't given in as such.
So I'm kind of glad that now in the last, well, maybe a year or so, there's a lot more coaches and managers that are getting involved rather than just 5 players together. I think slowly but surely we're definitely improving the scene in that regard, because coaches, I think, and managers obviously are very essential to
They're very essential nowadays, especially when you're playing for an org with high ambitions or with sponsors involved or with financial backing, because you want to make sure that everything you do is correct, everything you do is right. And the more people that you can get to help you with that. I did trick gaming on my own. I made a lot of mistakes. But the more people you've got, coaches, managers, people that help out with marketing, all that kind of stuff, they all help nowadays. And there's people that are willing to get involved. So if you're an organization and you've got people offering you their services, take it up. Don't try and do everything on your own. It don't work.
Yeah, definitely. Not only that, like you want the players to focus on playing. They can't be going around to have a meeting with a sponsor or anything like that. They need to be playing the game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the players, they need to just focus on their gameplay. Some players focus on too much outside of the game. They need to focus on their gameplay, and that's all they really need to do. All they need to do is focus on if they're playing for an organization, for example, they can pay for land tickets, travel, accommodation, all that jazz. All they needs to do is play the game, be good at it, and make their way to the tournament. All they need to do is get there and leave. Nothing else they need to worry about. It's just turning up, playing, and going again. There might be some pressure if they're a good team and they want to, they're touted to win it. But that's all they need to worry. They don't need to worry about what sponsor deals are coming in, or how much money is involved, how much money is they all getting from the sponsor, or what items do they get from the sponsor, or anything like that. They don't need to know the intricate details of what goes on the business level. They just need to play and concentrate on that. And hopefully the management team will also. But the other thing that they need to do, actually, I tell a lie. That I just said that all they need to do is play. No, they don't. They need to play, and they also need to market themselves. They need to be active, promoting themselves and promoting the organization and sponsors that they're involved with. That's a massive thing that they need to do nowadays. Unfortunately, unlike the old days when you got sponsored, you could just have your name, choke Blondeh, .xfx, for example, Crucial or whatever, and just be done with it. Nowadays, you have to socially engage on social media with people. You need to engage with people in LAN tournaments. Sponsors that's what they need. Sponsors want to see numbers. They want to see how many people follow you. What engagement do you have? It's all about exposure and engagement. So players do need to take a step away from the game and promote themselves. But what they also need is a strong management team behind them who can help them with promotion. Some of these gamers won't know how to promote themselves. They don't even know what Twitter is. They haven't got a Twitter account. Okay, so they need a management team, the coaching staff, those kind of people that can support them in the game, also support them outside the game. Introduce them to Twitter. Tell them, maybe school them a little bit if they don't understand it. Tell them how to do it. Help them with it. And help progress, because at the end of the day, a player is an asset to the organization. So the organization needs to also invest in that player and help them grow their own social media and stuff. So there has to be help there with the org as well.
I think that's one thing a lot of players are missing. Like the 2 people I can think of that do it really well are Tundra and Numlocked, is creating a brand from themselves, because after they're finished with like whatever team they're with, that's it. Like, what are you going to do after that? Well, your career's over, and then there's nothing else to do. If you keep yourself as a brand, then maybe you can become as a streamer, and people will watch you there, and you can continue the ball rolling.
Yeah, like I'm a cutie pie.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Really, really good job.
Left Dignitaz, the dream. Everyone wants to play for someone like Dignitaz in the LCS. Not him. Going to stream makes does better from it. That's because he built himself a good brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but definitely, people need to market themselves well. There's some people sitting on 100 followers and stuff. You just need to improve your own social media. I'm not even a player, and I've got more of a following than some of these players have. And that's just down to me, just so I'm active on Twitter, I guess. So, tweeting and doing all this other stuff. But some players are really good at it, some aren't. And I think the ones that aren't, they need help. Obviously, they need maybe someone from the org can just help them with promoting them. Because the org needs them to be promoting themselves. So, because they'll gain from it too. Not only will the player gain from it, but also the org they play for. So the org should help them out. If they're not very good at the social media things, then the org should give them a hand.
Yeah, definitely. Because it benefits both the player and the organization. If the organization, or rather sponsors, see that XYZ player sees that they've got, say, 1,000 followers each, then they know that when you sponsor that, not only the organization, you can get a name out from the players too. So obviously it's helping both the player and the organization to have that brand.
Yeah, definitely. It's important for both the player and the because the organization can benefit from it, so can the player.
So moving on slightly, after 2006, you obviously fell out of the public eye. What were you doing until 2014 when you picked back up and became a manager of Choke Gaming?
I was going to make a joke then and say I was scratching my ass, but no, I was I made it anyway. So 2006, I stopped playing competitively. I was still playing PC games until about 2008. But after that, I'd kind of lost touch with a lot of my friends. 2008, 2000, I was working a lot. I'd lost touch with a lot of my friends. A lot of them had moved on themselves. They had families. They'd got jobs and stuff. And my buddies that I was hanging around with, had all gone their own separate ways. So slowly but surely, I lost contact with people. I didn't stop gaming. I just started playing on my PlayStation and Xbox and stuff, and then playing with friends. Because what would happen is, let's say I got a job and I'd be playing it, working at this job, and be talking to people. I like playing games, but they'd all have Xboxes and stuff because no one was playing on the PCs as much. It was still a niche thing. It still is quite kind of niche. Consoles are a lot more accessible for everyone. So I bought a console so I could play with like my friends that down the road and friends like that I worked with and stuff, and I just gamed that way. I always kept an eye on the scene. It was nice to see some of one of my old teammates like Rattlesnake went on to win the what was it called? It was like $500,000. Man, it's bugging me for the fact that I can't remember the name of the tournament, but it was on Sky TV and stuff. But it was way ahead of its time. If you did that now, there would be a good response to it. But now, but back in 2008 or 9, I think that was. It wasn't a good time for it. It was ahead of its time. He still plays actually Counter-Strike. He was in the recent Easy Skins team that won I-55 and the Gfinity Championships. I don't think he's playing currently. He's line a team anyway. But yeah, he still plays. So I kept an eye on people that were still playing, that were younger than me, that I made friends with. I kept an eye on them, see how they were doing, and I kept an eye on the scene as such. But I didn't keep my eagle eye on it. I wasn't like watching it intricately. I was just casually checking upon things, and I'd seen the scene I was involved in, the Counter-Strike 1.6 scene, had died. It died by 2009, 2008. It was dead. So, and things like League of Legends were out, and I didn't even know how to play it, didn't even understand the game, so I wasn't really that interested in it. Although I was watching it and thinking, wow, it looks pretty cool, all the stages and stuff, but I didn't really know much about it or cared for it because it wasn't Counter-Strike. Yeah, I think I just played Call of Duty and stuff on consoles.
So how come then in 2014 you obviously decided to join Choke as a manager? Like, what made you decide to go, I'm going to be a manager now, and why Choke as well?
Well, what happened was, I'll give you the story actually about the whole Choke gaming thing. So what happened was I had decided, I just finished working at Winter Wonderland in London. I was a regional manager for a large private security company. I was one of the managers at Winter Wonderland for many years. And this one year I decided I'm going to upgrade my PC. I was sick of playing console games. I was sick of playing Call of Duty on a joypad. I wanted to play keyboard and mouse first-person shooters again. CSGO was released, I think, or was coming out. I can't remember now. I think it was out. And I was like, I want to give this game. I want to upgrade my PC. And working Winter Wonderland, I got a massive paycheck. It was really nice. A lot of money to be made in a short space of time. And I went to Eclipse Computers, which is my local computer short store. I popped in to buy a graphics card. There's many of the bits I upgraded, but this one day I went in to buy a graphics card, and the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh yeah," because I worked there many years ago for a brief time. When I was in my remember I was telling you about, I'd worked for 3 months, game again. I think they were one of my jobs I had for like 3 months and then quit to go and game. But he was like, "Oh, we've got this new LAN arena. You should come and check it out." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm a bit old for that now. Maybe I'll just come and check it out or whatever, So one weekend I decided to go and check out this LAN arena that they've got. And I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. But it's a bit too late. Not too late, but I wish you should have had this 10 years ago, I was kind of thinking. But it was pretty cool. 20 PCs, it was all pretty, state of the art. I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I joined their forum community, their community on their forums. And I started just chatting to like-minded people of my age, gamers and whatnot. So I was at home one day, and that's kind of how you kind of understand what happened next. So I was just sitting at home one day, and I was thinking, I wonder what Insomnia is doing nowadays. And I remember it moved from Newbury, and it was doing quite well. And I was thinking, I would like to go and check one out and see what it's all about. So I went online, I looked up Insomnia. It was Insomnia 51, I think, and it was at Coventry. And I was like, holy shit, Coventry, that's where I live. It's like 2 miles away.
Yeah, it's the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first one. I was like, wow, I got to go and check this out. You know, the last one I went to, I think might have even been I-23. I can't remember if I went to any as a spectator or for fun. But I was thinking it's been a long time since I've been to Insomnia. Let's go and see how much it's changed. And I was talking on the forums. I was going on the Eclipse Arena, their LAN center, their TeamSpeak, and I was talking to people on it. And we were playing different games together, and we was building like a little friendship with people. And one of the guys worked for Eclipse, and he said, "Oh, we're going to be exhibiting there." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And he knew me. He knew of me from Choke Gaming. He knew of me as a player for them back in the day. And he said, "I'd be able to sort you out a pass if you want to go." I was like, "Wow, cheers, dude. That's pretty cool." So he hooked up. He gave me he said, just come along. So anyway, I went to Insomnia. They had a wristband and a pass for me. And said, yeah, you can. I said, do you want me to help out with anything on your stand or anything? Because I feel kind of cheeky just having a free pass. And like, no, don't worry about it. You're a friend of like the community that we're trying to build. So I just went around the whole event, and I was just in awe of how big it had become. Like the exhibitors and the amount of and all the YouTube stuff and the kids and there was eSports, but it was just like a different beast. And I was like, wow, this is massive, but it's pretty cool. And then what happened was I was walking down. I went down to watch. It was the League of Legends finals, and it was Unicorns of Love versus, I think it was Rain eSports or someone like that. And I went down. I thought, I'm going to go and check this out. It was the only staged finals. Counter-Strike was being played as it was when I had played in the halls at their desks. So I was like, oh. So I went and checked out the League of Legends, and I remember watching the players on the stage, and I was sat watching it. And there was one time that I did play on a stage environment, which was at the ESWC finals in Sheffield, when I was sat there gaming away and on the big screens, and my voice could hear. We never had soundproof earphones. You could hear your voice being shouted over. You could hear what the other team were doing. So I was sitting there, and I was thinking, oh man, it reminds me of the time I was in Sheffield. And these guys are on the stage and they're gaming, and I thought, oh man, this is so cool. It's come on a long way. I really want to get involved in this. I want to get back into this, but I can't get back into a player. I'm too old, I'm too slow. I ain't got the time to play. And I was thinking, but at the time, I was a regional manager for a large private security company. And prior to that, I'd also run my own business for a couple of years, which was relatively successful. And I'd done a lot of managerial roles. I was the general manager of a restaurant and bar. I'd done a lot of managerial roles since leaving gaming. And I was sat there thinking, wow, I wonder if I could start something, because now I was sat there thinking, right, I want to start something up. Maybe I can create something that I can help these gamers play from a financially stable platform, or get the support that they need to be good. Because now I was thinking, nowadays, looking around, everybody knows what esports is. At least everyone in the IT industry even knows, because back then even people in the IT industry didn't know what esports was. But everyone in the IT industry knows what it is. Maybe getting financial support or sponsorships will be an easier task than it was 10, 12 years ago. So I was thinking, I'm going to do it. I'm going to create a gaming org. But I wasn't really sure where to go or who to turn to, who to speak to about it, because I didn't know anyone. All my friends had long gone, I walked around Insomnia, and not one person knew who I was. There was the odd person who said, there was like, I think there was two people that said, I know your face from somewhere. Where do I know? And I was like, I used to play Counter-Strike, and they knew who I was. But there was it's a different beast now. Like, I've met you, Marek, at some of the events, and I've made a lot of friends. So now when we go, I get to meet a lot of people. It's really nice. But yeah, so I didn't know anyone what to do. So I was talking about the idea to a guy called, I don't mention names, but to a guy who works at Eclipse. And he was like, oh, wow, well, we've been thinking about running our own teams from our arena. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I want to do this. I want to do Choke Gaming. Well, I didn't say I wanted to do Choke Gaming then. I was like, well, I'm thinking about running an org. But I don't really know what to do. So, and then he said to me, well, I could introduce you to the guys who are in Eclipse, and I could introduce you to sponsors. I've got contacts with people who are involved in this industry. And maybe I can put you in front of them, and you can get sponsorships from this, and maybe you could turn your dream into reality, kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, it sounds good. So I went away from that thinking I want to start a gaming org. I couldn't think of a name. I was trying to think of a name to use. I couldn't think of anything. And I thought, why not just use Choke Gaming? It was a team I was part of. It had a good history. I think I'm going to start that. But But at the same time, I wasn't too sure about it because it had its history. It died and it was ended, and that was the end of it. And I didn't want to disturb it. So then I went on Steam and I spoke to some of my old buddies who I'm still friends with and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a gaming org. And they were like, you're fucking crazy, Vince. Why do you want to do that for? Jeez, man, leave it alone. You know, you had your time. I was like, no, I want to do it. And I'm thinking I want to use the Choke Gaming name. Do I have your blessing? Are you happy? Are you happy for me to use that name? Because, you know, we were all part of it. I was never the owner or leader back then. Can we do it? And he said, Vince, if you want to do it, do it. But just don't fuck it up. Just don't fuck it up. You know, we had a good history, won a lot of tournaments. If you know, just whatever you do, don't give it a bad name if you want to do it. And I was like, nah, man, I won't give it a bad name. I got this kind of thing. Anyway, went back to the Sky Eclipse and said, yeah, I want to do it. I'm going to make it an org. I'm going to call it Choke. And he's like, oh, yeah, good idea. You know, used to play from, blah, blah, it's got a good history. And then he introduced me to the guys at Eclipse Computers. And he said, this is Vince, and he wants to make a gaming org called Choke Gaming. So I started talking to them. And they were really keen to get involved as a spot. I wanted them as a sponsor. They were really keen to get involved as a sponsor. In fact, what they wanted to do, they wanted to get involved in eSports. So we decided to create something called eSports Interactive, where we would do lots of things involved with eSports. And that's how that began. And I became the managing director of eSports Interactive. I was running Choke Gaming, and I was left to do that. No one after that. That was it. That was how it went. So from that day onwards, I started to build Choke Gaming up. You know, so they said, yeah, we can introduce it to people, da 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 da. And I thought, great. And I remember thinking actually back, I don't know if I should talk about all of this, but I remember thinking back, right, there's so many shares going involved, but there's a real possibility that at one point in time in the future, I could almost be voted out of this. If someone fell out on me, I could almost be voted out from something that I'm going to be working really hard on. But I didn't let that phase me. I thought, no, Vince, don't think like that. I don't think negative. These, you know, nothing like that will happen. These guys know what they're talking about. They're successful businessmen. They're going to introduce you to people. You're going to be able to get this dream of yours off the ground. So that's how it began. And initially there was some help at the very start of it, but there was nothing major. So I was kind of left then to my own devices, Choke Gaming. And that's how Choke Gaming formed. And then I started speaking to, I think it was Kevin. If you remember Kevin,
Yeah.
He was playing at an Insomnia and he won a 2v2 tournament, or he did something on the Eclipse stand.
Yeah, it was with Vinny, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Simon, who was running the stand, introduced him to me. And then we started talking. I said, yeah, let's make you our League of Legends team. They were our first League of Legends team. And we went to Epic Land. And that's how that started. From there, we had no sponsors. The only sponsor we had was Eclipse. They gave us some PCs to give to the players. That's all we had to offer as an org. And that's how that started. And then and I didn't know anything about League of Legends. I remember thinking, right, I'm making this game an org. What am I going to do here? What games do I get involved in? CS:GO was only just come out of beta, I think. It wasn't really many people playing it. League of Legends was the king of esports. I didn't know what the hell was going. I didn't understand the game at all. I took Kevin and all along. We went to Epic Land. The guys came third, did really well. I remember watching it, thinking, this is interesting. How do I play this? I installed it, I think, when I got home after that LAN. Started playing it, and my idea was I want to learn the game so I understand what's going on, and maybe I can even help these guys because I had a competitive nature, and I thought, maybe the idea of coaching people would be a good thing. Because I'm not stupid. I understand video games. Just because maybe I can't play it doesn't mean I don't understand what's needed to be done in the game if I learn it. So that's how that started, yeah. And then from Kevin, so that was when, that was the birth of Choke, really, was when we got Kevin and co to Epic Land. Yeah.
So obviously, you started your own business. Is there any advice that you'd give to people, not only as a manager but as a co-owner or a director? What kind of advice could you give to someone who was thinking about getting into the industry, doing something similar, and what kind of advice would you give to them to obviously make a startup, basically? To start a gaming org? Yeah, or just
to be like a manager. If you're going to start a gaming org, the first thing I'd say is you need money, especially now. It's changed over so much over the last couple of years. In the year and a half that I've been involved as a manager owner, you need some money behind it if you haven't got sponsors already, because players nowadays demand a little bit more than what they did even a year and a half ago. Or you need to find a group of players who don't want the world but have got the raw potential to do well. For example, when Kevin and co first joined, I did not know how good X, Y, and Z was. I didn't know what Challenger meant to Diamond to Platinum, so I didn't really know when they spoke about these things. Now, and they were all a good bunch of players. They went to Epic Land, they came third, but they were probably sitting in the top 5 of the UK. Probably going to hit third at their third, maybe second, depending on the teams involved. But they didn't want much, and it was a great way to kind of start Choke Gaming off. We didn't have much financial investment. I had a good job at the time. I was able to invest a bit of money into it, but there wasn't much financial investment. It was more a case of we just wanted, offer some support with the hope that we could build on that, and eventually, get sponsorship deals, which we did. But my advice would be I wouldn't say not do it. I would say if you're going to do it, you need to really plan ahead, think very hard about it, and you need a bit of money. And if you haven't got money, you need a group of players who can do well for you and promote your team in the best light. There's lots. Running an org is like running a business, so you need to plan for it. You need to do a lot of things, marketing, and this is all stuff I've only learned over the year and a half. I had no idea what I was doing when I did it. It was just on a whim. I'm going to make a game on org. Hey guys, I'm going to make a game on org, and these guys are like, yeah, sounds good. Let's set up a company. All right, let's crack on. And that's how it was. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a player. But I was using my managerial skills I'd picked up from different trades to try and apply them to this industry, and it worked for it. It worked sometimes, it didn't work sometimes. But yeah, my advice would be think about it very carefully and decide what it is you have goals. Do you want to be LCS, or do you want to be that team that just likes to enjoy it and going up to LANs and play Epic LANs, Insomnias, and compete and join in ESL stuff? Or do you really want to go for it? If you really want to go for it, then you need serious investment, serious time, and serious people behind it. Otherwise, it won't get very far unless you're very fortunate and lucky. You come up, that does happen. Yeah, you pick up a team that just they're just gifted and they just smash everyone. You're like, whoa! But then once you get a team like that, it's hard to keep hold of them if you're not giving them anything.
Yeah, it's like
it's tough.
Gaming in Motion. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard of them before.
Yeah,
I think it's Matt who runs that. I don't even know if he still does. I've not seen much of them recently, but he went from nothing and he created an organization and he brought a team, or like he got a team together, and from there they got really good, and then someone just swiped them. They literally just were like, we'll offer you like pennies or something, and they were okay.
Yeah,
and then they left.
A bag of sweets.
Yeah, and then he had to go and get another team, and I think he got another team, and then again they got good, and they just got swiped away. So it is really difficult, and I think there is a high turnover in organizations as well. Like I myself attempted to start a team, as you know, and we just decided, we'll just do it off a whim. We'll be all good. Everything will work out. We know everything. It's fine. We didn't have a bloody clue about how to work anything, and it just fell through because we didn't really understand how hard it was to actually create something successful from nothing, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's very difficult. I was kind of fortunate because I had people that they didn't know esports, but they knew they had a few contacts in the industry. They were able to, introduce me to, or give me at least their email list of their contacts. So I was able to email these people and get a meeting set up. But I can't remember what I was going to say now. But yeah, it is very difficult. And one thing you have to be, I think, in fact, I remember now, Epic. When was the Epic that choked one? With Numlocked.
13? No, 14 was it?
No. 14 or 15. It was one of them where, I think it might be 14, with choke. It was Numlocked, DX Alchemist, Chewed Up, Zodiac, and it was Instinctive as the jungler.
Yeah.
And I remember going there, and a guy said to me, a guy who's very well respected, and I won't name names, he's involved in a lot of stuff in the UK. And he said to me, Vince, how have you kept this group of players together so long? Since I-53, was it that we won? To Epic, which is like 6 months, or maybe 5 months. How have you kept this lineup together for such a long period of time? Because that's considered a long time. A group of players that are very skilled at the game that just wouldn't come off the back of a Four Nations win, which is the biggest event live on a live stream in the UK ever. How have you kept them without giving them crazy deals? How have you done it? How is it? And I honestly don't know how, actually. I think I'm hoping that maybe if they were watching they can answer it, but I like to think we had a good relationship. I never promised anything I couldn't deliver. We did speak about some things that never happened, which was unfortunate, but we'd never promise it. We did get let down a few times when we were told, you guys can get this, and then unfortunately the sponsor then couldn't deliver. But it was never like I never went out purposely, and I never went and lied to them about anything. I was always very honest with them and open with them, and I think we just had a good relationship. And that's how we were able to stick together for such a long time. And some of them players have come back when I was involved in it. They came back. Numlocked came back. I'm sure Josh would have came back at the recent Somnia had Tundra not played. Shoot up, I'm sure today if he wanted to play League of Legends, let's make a team, he'd be happy to. Yeah, so I think it's just all about the relationship we had, which was a good one. And yeah, that's the hard thing to do, because those players were getting offered all sorts from every direction. After Four Nations, they were hot property. I think they just stayed because of my charm. No, I don't know.
And good looks, obviously.
And good looks, yeah.
So you were obviously a player for a while and a manager for a while. Mm-hmm. Are there any like orgs, like managers or owners there that you think are doing a good job at the moment? Like any shout outs? Do you think any people that are doing a really good job for the team that they're currently with?
Yeah, I've got a few shout outs actually to a few people that I think are really very good at what they do. Obviously, I've got my own, not heroes, but I've got my own peers I look up to. I look up to a lot of people, someone like Odie from Dignitas, who was around. In fact, like didn't kind of started after Choke back in the day. I remember when they came about, and I remember watching them grow. I think he's done a great job there. Someone compared me. They were trying to be nasty to me actually on Twitter once, and said that's the Odie move or something. I thought they were trying to be abusive towards me, and I thought, wow, if that's what Odie did back in the day, then I'm onto a winner because that guy's killing it. But he's a kind of someone I would look up to. But people that are in the scene currently that are doing a great job, yeah, there's loads of orgs that have come about since the birth of Choke and other since I started. There's been a lot of orgs that have come as well. I think there's some guys who have I think Cal from M&M is a really top guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He really looks after his players, and I really hope that his org grows and he gets the success I think he deserves, because he puts a lot of time into it. Luna from TCA is a top guy. I didn't know him back in the day, but he was part of the scene that I was part of back in the day. We didn't know each other. We only got talking very recently. He's a really nice guy, and I know he means well for his own organization. There's other people involved that do a lot off their own back. Rob, who was the coach manager for Choke Gaming for the ESL Premiership, that guy has got brains upon brains. He's a very smart guy, and he knows what he's doing, and he's the kind of guy that will succeed. He's got the right drive and passion. That guy is going to do well with whatever lineup he's involved in, or whatever team he's involved in. He's the kind of guy that's going to help UK players hopefully get onto their next stage. Other people like yourself, Marek, you're a handsome guy. You do, give you a bit of a shout out. Other shout outs, I would give all the players that have played for me previously a shout out. They all did a great job and fantastic job when I was with Choke in helping promoting the organisation, and they did it with pride, I think. Although some of them were hard work to wear a jersey or something. DX Alchemist, hello. But they would, all shout outs to all of them in their own little ways. Seb, for example, was a top captain when he was in the LoL. A guy deserves the best. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's an absolute star. I've just been fortunate. It's hard to give a shout out to everybody because there is so many nice people. There's just so many nice people that I've met, and there's so many people that have got all the same passion as me and you, and they all want to do their best, and they want to promote the esports, and they want to change people's perspective and opinions, and they want to be the best that they can be in it. There's so many people out there. It's hard to pinpoint people. There's admins like Gary who works for ESL, and it's like these guys do it as volunteers. Their own time and their own time and effort. Sometimes they get abused, sometimes they make wrong decisions, but that's all part of being human. They abuse stuff sometimes they don't deserve, but there's a lot of people out there do spend a lot of their own free time. I'm going to give you a solid fact here. Choke Gaming, right? Let's go. Choke Gaming from day one, from when I was part of it, from the recent rebirth of it to the end of until I got until my unfortunate departure from there, which I saw the future when I first did it. Didn't think it would happen, but it did. I got voted out. And that was only because they didn't really share my vision. They didn't share the same dream I had. A lot of the stuff, unfortunately, that was posted was a load of rubbish. But so from there to there, people probably think, wow, Choke Gaming, they had a lot of success. They had a lot of big sponsors, Azus, Crucial, XFX, G2 Omega, Eclipse Computers. They won all these tournaments. Vince probably rolling in it by now. This guy's killing it, they're probably on some serious sponsorship deals. I can tell you one thing. I made very small amounts of money from any of it. I didn't even make any. To say I made any money actually is a lie. I made no money from it. The amount of money I put off full-time employment, good jobs, to carry on there was no way I could work full time and do choke gaming at the same time to become what it was. There was no way I could do it. So I had to commit all my time into choke gaming, and it didn't pay. It didn't pay. I never made any money from it. That's the real sad part. The sad part is I spent 1.5 years of my life on something which I got removed from for nothing. I'd made no money from it. I got a pair of headphones or something, and some checks on the wall and trophies which they're asking for back. But I got nothing from it. I actually made no financial gain from it. So I don't know where I was going with that. But there's not much money to be made. There's not much money to be made in it.
I mean, that's something.
What was the question?
I don't know. I forgot now.
I'm getting all emotional. I was getting all. No, but
we'll go into that a bit later because it's something I'm interested about. The fact that it is so difficult to be profitable or to even break even in esports. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'll just go back on a point about Calvin. He's a brilliant guy. When I started and I wanted to create Lemonade Esports, he added me on Skype and just said, if there's anything I can do, just let me know. I'll help you with advice and stuff. And I thought it was really nice because I never spoke to him before. I didn't have a clue who he was. Yeah. And he's like giving a hand out to someone who he doesn't know how serious he could be. I could have just been like, oh fuck it, I'll do it, and then just give up a day later.
Yeah, when I met Calvin for the first time, we met somewhere, and he said, "Can I get your contact details? Can we have a chat after?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And he messaged me. I've had a few people from different orgs that come to me and they say, "Hi Vince, can you give me some advice? We're just starting out. We're just going. What can you do to help?" And I'd give them some advice. I don't want to be the guy going, "Oh, I'm too good to talk to you." When Choke Gaming, we're like the best League of Legends team or whatever. Although we weren't always, but I spent people I was happy to help with and talk to. There's people from a lot of orgs come to me and ask for some advice and help, and I introduced players to teams. Remember when you came to me and asked me about certain CS:GO players and stuff. They come to me asked what Lemonade Esports was like, and you came and asked what the guys like. I'm happy to help, and I think Calvin is the top guy, and I think if you share a bit of love with someone, they're going to share it with someone else.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then we'll succeed together.
That's the thing. I think I was going to make this point later when we were talking about the scene, but I'll make it now. A lot of people, they think, well, I'm on TCA and you're on Show. Well, we can't share any secrets because we need to win. Like it's us or them. No, we're all in it together to make the scene a better place. We can share these secrets. Like you can, as long as it's not like strategy on how players play. It's just the business secrets and how we can improve or even collaborate like we are now to get some information out for people so they can understand or maybe share an input. They can. Yeah, comments later, and we can have a discussion about what's going on.
I can understand why maybe some people wouldn't want to share, like, say, the contacts with certain sponsors and stuff. I can understand that. But I don't see a problem with offering help or advice on doing stuff. If you've got a good sponsor deck. I think I sent my sponsor deck to a few orgs to show them an example of what one looks like. Some people don't know what a sponsor deck looks like or how to put one together. So there's always ways to help. Sometimes the competitive side is you don't want to help people because you want to be the one that's successful. You don't want to help someone else get success that you could have had. So that's just natural. But there's no reason not to help people at some level and give them advice. There's no reason at all. Because like you said, the beauty of it is, this is the way I thought about it. When Choke Gaming, when I brought Choke Gaming into the folder, it was there was Infused and FM, and they just won all the time. It was one of them that won. And when Choke came about, at the beginning we didn't win, but then when like Numlocked and everyone joined, we caused upsets. Suddenly then there was another org in the mix. And I've had people come to me and say, what you did, Vince, inspired me to create an org. And I was like, wow, that's really flattering. But now you look at it, there's so many more orgs, and the more organizations there are, the more teams that are serious, the more competitive the scene becomes. The more competitive it is, the more money will get invested into it. And that money will filter through to everybody. And everybody will gain from it. What we won't gain from is if teams come and go every 5 minutes. If organizations start and fold every 5 minutes. What will happen is serious big companies will look at the scene and go, we can't invest in something that isn't stable.
Yeah, of course.
Why would we invest in something that tomorrow can die? And that is why it's important. We've touched on this UK scene recently, why contracts are so important. There has to be stability. Without stability, there will be no financial investment into the scene, and there has to be that stability.
The amount of teams that just basically go and join one iSeries, and by the end of iSeries, they've just quit and they'll hop onto each individual player will hop on.
Do you follow UK CSGO?
A little bit, but not so much.
So the last Insomnia, every team there folded pretty much. Even the team that won it changed their players. Even the team that came second made roster changes. You know, it was a crazy LAN. So many teams changed their lineups or folded after that LAN, and it was it was the biggest Insomnia. It was the biggest event for UK Counter-Strike, like in terms of teams that turned out. I think, or no, maybe the summer one had more numbers, but it was the biggest winter one that they had. There was still like a shitload of teams that turned up, and they still lineups couldn't stay together even after they'd won the tournament and defied all odds. CAX went and won it, and everyone was saying they wouldn't win it, and they did, and they went. Well, not everyone said they wouldn't win it. They were talented group of players. They had every opportunity. I thought they could go and do it. But it was a dream come true for them because their organization had said to them, if you actually win the tournament, we will double the prize money. You will get the prize money, and we will pay you also what the value of the prize money. Yeah. And then some guy from the scene on Twitter said, if you guys win it, I'll triple the prize money. So, because it was almost like the guys aren't going to win. Yeah, they could win it, but the likelihood is someone else is going to win it. But they actually went and stomped it. They actually went and won it. So it was like a dream. It was like a fairy tale kind of story. And then the guy who said on Twitter, I'm not gonna. He's kind of a guy well known in the scene. No, I was only joking when I said I'd triple it. Didn't hold his word, but you know, and even they lost a couple of players, made changes after that. So it was crazy to see. But yeah, no, there needs to be stability. Yeah, and Easy Skins disbanded as well. I was just seeing someone mention in chat. Yeah. Easy Skins were undefeated. They beat everybody. Oh, and they couldn't last 5 minutes. They lasted nearly a year together. But in that year, they never went to. They only went to a couple of tournaments. Tournaments they did do, they won, but didn't go to many. I think they went to three LAN events in the UK. But stability is key.
Right, so I actually want to talk about obviously Choke Gaming and the league, like League of Legends teams, and obviously we're talking about stability. Well, there's a little bit of changing of players here and now because certain players went on to better things, or like you know, LCS changes, and we were talking about Kevin and Vinny. Well, they were the first team obviously you had, and
I think it was Mr. TD, Max Asian, Vinny the Noob, Capsule, and Noodles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like you were saying, did it literally just come from that 2v2 Eclipse stand thing, or was there a little bit more to it? Like, how did you actually get down to the business of like acquiring all 5 players as a team? Did you ask Vinny and Kevin like who they knew?
Yeah, Kevin put the team together.
Right. Okay.
And he came to me with a lineup, and we rolled with it. We went with it. In fact, I think there was one change before we went live, but we just went with that lineup. And then after Epic LAN, I think Noodles wanted to. There was some. I don't know what happened. I didn't really get involved in too much in the politics. What happened? What they would do is come and say we're changing the player, and I'd maybe ask why, but they wouldn't. You know, I go, okay, cool. If you think that's best for the team, then crack on with it. And they changed Noodles then after that for Smoky Lemon to become better. Then they went to. Yeah, so that was the first. We made a change after Epic LAN. They swapped out Noodles for Smoky Lemon.
Yeah. And was Nocturnal Plex on that team as well, like the I-52 now?
He was at I-52, so they made a swap from Noodles to Smoky Lemon. Then they went to a tournament at the Eclipse Arena. They came second, and Mr. TD decided that he didn't want to play competitive anymore, he wanted to chill out. So then they wanted to go to Insomnia 52, and I think Smoky Lemon, I think he knew Reese. He suggested Reese come along. But at that time, we were trying to put a lineup together for 4 Nations, but Reese couldn't play because he was too young. So he was only really coming for the Insomnia. It was like it was like a quick fix for Insomnia. I think the guys came 7th in Insomnia, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you want me to go through the whole changes, we can. After that,
that's when you acquired Mistakes Were Made, wasn't it?
No, we'd made a different. After that, Reese left, and then Capsule went to Korea to go and watch Worlds, and he was spending a lot of time over there. So we couldn't use him, and we were training for 4 Nations. We were practicing for 4 Nations. So then Ped and oh my god, why have I forgotten his name all of a sudden? He's a shoutcaster now. Oved. Is it Vidius and Ped? Yeah. Pedrillion joined. I think Ped played mid. Vidius played in jungle. I can't remember who went support to cover for Capsule. I can't remember now. But we made them changes. And they were doing all right. They were doing well. But yes, what you just said. So, and they were doing all right. They were doing well, playing some tournaments, but there was still some stuff to change. Kevin was also in Korea, but he was going to come back to carry on coaching and managing him. He wanted to step back out as a player as well. He used to play mid. And then there was some changes were made again. Smokey Lemon became the captain of the team, and then I think Oved and Ped were removed for Rain Slight and Jack Blackjack. But that didn't last very long, in the sense that they were. What happened was then we started topping in. I think GoFish. Oh, sorry, GoFish. How can we forget GoFish? GoFish was playing top.
And then the blank top.
GoFish is a really nice guy. I like Fish a lot. I seen him at the last Insomnia. We said hello to each other. And then there was some changes. So Slight and Blackjack were playing. I can't remember. What happened was there was a lot of changes being made. And then there was too many changes made. It wasn't stable. They were losing games they shouldn't be. They weren't really gelling as a team. And then they played a ranked fives game instead of the Riot Four Nations qualifier. What happened was that they got disqualified from the Four Nations because they didn't turn up. So I was like, Choke Gaming has to be in this tournament. If we're not in this tournament, it's big business, this tournament. We need to at least be trying to qualify, and you guys just got yourself excluded from it for deciding to play a ranked fives game over, if I remember rightly, this happened, over a Four Nations game. And then I was talking to, I remember mistakes were made with smashing everybody. They were absolutely, and they didn't have any org to play for. And I'd already met Numlocked via iSeries, one of the iSeries. And I just dropped him a message and said, "Hey man, what's going on? How are you guys getting on? I think we're going to be losing our team, and I was just wondering if you guys would fancy like coming on board if they were to go." And then I think he went off and he spoke. No, I think I spoke to DX Alchemist first, and then Numlocked, and then they went off and they came back and then they said, "Yeah, we'd love to play for you. We'll play for Choke, not a problem." So then I spoke to Smokey and I said, "Look, it's not really working out. You've made a lot of roster changes and you got disqualified from Four Nations, and it's not working out. We're going to be changing the whole lineup. We're going to be going with these guys." It didn't go down too well. Obviously, no one wants to be told that they're going to be removed from anything. And that's what happened. We picked up mistakes were made. I got a lot of shit for it. A lot of people said to me, "Oh, Vince, you just picked up mistakes were made. They're not going to do anything. They're going to go to this LAN. They might win Four Nations, yeah, but after that, they're going to drop you. They're going to leave you, and they're going to go off and do their own thing, and you would have wasted time on them." I was like, "Well, that's the risk I guess I have to take." And that's what everyone said to me. "You're crazy. You're mad. Why would you go with this team? They're good. They might win, but they'll drop you. They'll just leave you at a drop of a hat for a better offer or whatever." And that's how I picked up mistakes were made. Yeah.
Okay. So like Numlocked, he was more, and we talked about it briefly before, he was more of like the captain of the team.
He was like the captain, yeah.
So was he the one who like set up was he the one who set up the scrims and like basically helped you manage the players as well? Was his role in the team?
Yeah, Rob was the go-to guy. I already had a guy called Shorty who was involved. So Shorty was he was like the team's manager. He would look after any teams we had involved. But for whatever reason, him and the league team never clicked. Didn't really as much as he tried to kind of be involved with them, they weren't really involved. It didn't really work out in the sense that they, for whatever reason, didn't say eye to eye. So Seb would normally, we'd deal with Seb alone. And Seb would be the cat. So normally what would happen is I'd be like, "Okay, we've got to do this, Shorty, and then we'd set up a meeting with Seb and say, right. And we'd have weekly meetings like, how's the team going, getting on? Any problems, any good stuff, any bad stuff, that kind of stuff. And Seb would be the guy who would kind of daddy the team. Yeah. Actually, that was kind of my job. That's what I did. But he would be like the eldest son, and I'd be like, "Go on, boy, go and do this."
So, with having someone like Seb on your team who are helping you out, was that a lot easier for you then to obviously do the business side, get sponsorships? You could focus more on that rather than having to speak to the players all the time?
I spoke, but the problem was I'm very hands-on, so I did speak to the players all the time. Yes, Seb was great at doing what he did, but there were sometimes he couldn't answer all the questions, so they had to speak to me, or he'd have to speak to me. And I still found myself a lot of time having to manage them. I couldn't sometimes focus on the business side of it, or the marketing side of it. I was still dealing with the players as such, on a level, on a management level. But Seb was a great help. Seb definitely, helped out a lot. Without him, things could have been more difficult. Definitely, he was great at what he did. He was a great captain. He had a great personality, and he wasn't. he'd been around the block in a sense that he'd played for a lot of orgs before. Not around the block, but he'd played for like Infused and TCM and Epsilon in different games and Team Fortress 2. So he knew the disco. I was still very new. I was still only 6 months old as an org manager owner. He taught me, he was able to kind of teach me a lot as well on what was expected from an org. So he was a great addition. He was a great help.
So we get on to I-53, which is the first tournament that you win as as a manager now. And this is obviously where we met, because that was the winter.
Yeah, when we had the little gaming room.
Yeah, and we had the crazy lady who wouldn't let us sleep at night. That was great.
Yeah, that was enjoyable, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, like, how was working with each of those players at that tournament, like both inside the game and outside of the game?
Okay, so this is the first time we were going to meet. We hadn't met each other. I didn't really know what everyone even looked like in the flesh. They were all great to work with. Seb was ill. I remember Seb was ill. He was really ill.
Yeah.
And all he kept saying to me was, he kept asking me for water all the time. And we kind of made it a bit of a joke. He's always gone about his middle class, So in the end, he started calling me Jeeves. It was kind of funny. Jeeves, can I have some water? Jeeves, can I get this? But it was funny. We made a joke of it. I said, anything else, my lord? But the first time we got them, they were all great. The only person who was the biggest problem was Lasagna, because rather than come and stay at the event, he traveled to London and back again every day.
Yeah.
And I think on the Saturday, it was like, I can't turn up. Like, I'm going to be late. I think I played in the first 2 games. I was but he was the hardest one because he wouldn't stay. He'd have some of it's things. Does his mum know he'd come to play like League of Legends? I don't know, because he was quite. I think he was in uni. He was like a semi-pro tennis player and all this. Like, I don't know if he is. I get the feeling his parents were unaware of him coming to this event. I think they told him he might have told him he was working, because he went home every night, back to London and back again. I don't know how much money he spent on train fare, to be honest, but he was not the hardest one to work with. He was just the most awkward.
Yeah, he'd leave really early because I was playing at that event as well, and we were going to play you on the last game of the group stages. Yeah, and he had to leave, so you had to forfeit. So I get to just brag and say that I've beat Choke Gaming before, and not mention the fact that we never actually played each other, and it was a forfeit. So that was good.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, you got to remember, this was when we met. There was trust. Not trust issues, but the players, did they trust me? They didn't know me well enough to trust me yet, and I didn't know them well enough to trust them yet. A lot of trust, there was a lot of trust involved. So we were feeling each other out, finding out finding out little bits about each other, the way we worked, the way we did things. They were all top lads. They were all great fun to be around, and I'm, if I could, I'd love to have them all again.
So when you get into the finals of the tournament or I-Series, and you play for the Win eSports, which was the Portuguese team, who obviously flew over thinking that it'd be a freebie, and I think it was 3-1, and you also didn't get the weighted finals either, did you, that event? I think
no. Yeah, so we were playing, so we just, good to remember now, leading up to this tournament, we didn't qualify for the GiftCav tournament, which the guys were confident of winning. Well, let's not go into GiftCav. We all know what happened there. Certain people wouldn't play us. But we couldn't get into the GiftGav tournament. So we were really pretty salty about that, the guys were. But we just thought they'd crack on with the Insomnia. So FM and Infuse and all them they weren't joining until the Saturday because they were in the GiftGav tournament. But anyway, so we'd played FM Infuse and we'd beaten them 2-0 both times. And then we had to play FTW eSports and we were 1-0 down. But then we ended up coming back to 2-1. And I remember thinking, because the guys were very confident. At the beginning of the tournament, they were like, we're going to win this Insomnia easy. If we was in GiftGav, we're going to win that. We could win that easy as well. We're the best team in the UK. They were very confident about their ability. They weren't big-headed about it. They were just very confident. So when they just beat FTW, it was like in the knockout stages, we went into the upper bracket. It was like, I was thinking, oh yeah, Choke Gaming, land champions again. Let's fucking go. I was getting really excited about it. And then we had to play FTW in a non-weighted final. Did not go down well at all. Zodiac, I think, nearly had a breakdown. Like, the guy was not happy at all. I've never seen someone so angry and passionate over something. He We went down to the admins. He was shaking. He was that angry because there's a real potential, because they weren't a bad team. There was a real potential that they could beat us. There was a real potential that they could beat them. And didn't sit fair that it wasn't a weighted final. It was going to be a best of 3. Why should it be a best of 3? We've just come through unbeaten through the upper bracket. Why should it be a best of 3? There's a chance we could lose 2 games here and be knocked out. So the players weren't happy at all. I wasn't happy. We spoke to the Insomnia admins. They didn't really care too much. It was their rules or no, it was their way or no way. And we just had to go into the game in the right frame of mind. And Josh was really upset about it, and it was very hard trying. But his anger was also turning positive because he was more keen to win than ever. He was like, I'm going to win this. I really want to win this. But he was very emotional about it. He wasn't happy at all. At one point, I thought he was just going to. He was that angry. I thought I can't control him. I can't calm him down. I think he's just going to walk out and leave. But he didn't. He played. So, but what I did prior to this, so we had to go backstage prior to the game, behind the curtains. So I made a little video, and I was going through the players, and I can't remember. I think I got Shoutouts' name and Zodiac's name mixed up, and then I was videoing FTW, and they were doing all this weird, almost like the New Zealand hacker, but it was some other stuff. I don't know what it was. They were going through this ritual, so I was kind of making a little bit of fun. And then Josh and Seb, they all like laughed, and they thought I was, because at the time, remember that guy, the Wheelstone Warrior, whatever his name is, and you got no fans, yeah. Shootouts kept saying that all the time, and so we kept going, they've got no fans, we've got all the we messing around, and we were just joking around, and I kind of lifted the spirits, and then we went out, and then they went out onto stage, and I guess the rest is history. Wasn't it 5 dragons in the first game? I think it was a stomp, if I remember rightly. It was a bit of a stomp.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a stomp. Unfortunate for FTW, yeah, we went away. I remember Shootout was saying, not only we are the champions of England, we're UK, we're also the best team in Portugal. But yeah, so it went in our favour. We ended up winning, I think we only needed 2 games. Yeah, the rest of 3, we won 2 games. And that was, the rest of the day is history. I remember Divot was really pissed off though. Went around to, I was like, guys, you won, yeah. And Divot was like, yeah, they camped me. I'm not happy, man. They camped mid. I'm not happy. I could have done better. He was so annoyed that he'd been camped, and maybe he could have. He did great. I remember he did his Veigar plays were awesome, but I think he felt he could have done better had he not been camped mid lane, because he was a big threat. His skill shots were unbelievable. At least back then they were. I don't know now. I haven't seen him play for a little while, but yeah, he was a bit annoyed about that. And then we went and had food, and we enjoyed it. That was the first of many grand finals for that lineup. I say it was 6. I think it was 6 grand finals they got into. That lineup we did. I think first place 3 times, second place 3 times.
Yeah. So, how was the feeling of winning, but this time not as a player, as a manager? Was it the same kind of feeling? Were you more
the
excited?
Same feeling, mate. Yeah. You're not gonna. Pardon me. Sorry, guys, on the stream there. Can I put in? I don't know if you watched the last Insomnia when I ran up on the stage and everything. I go nuts. For when those guys won, I won. I felt like I was winning. And they just now think about it, the hairs in the back of my neck are standing up. I just remember it was awesome. I was so happy. I was so happy that hard work was paying off. Not for them, they just turned up. Like they were like, yeah, we're going to win. This is easy. And they went in. That's what they did. But for me, there was a lot of work put in, a lot of effort in behind the scenes, trying to make sure these guys got there. Because there was a real worry that we weren't going to even get there. We remember we bought that. We ended up hiring for £1,000 the chairman's suite because there was no tickets left. There was no room left in Insomnia. So we rented this private thing out, and they gave us tickets for it. It cost a lot of money. It was over £1,000 actually for this room where we could get 10 players in, and there was the team, and then you and a couple of others, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
We had good fun. And even the right staff ended up using, didn't they, for their interviews? Yeah. We had all the YouTubers come up. We were like the VIPs of Insomnia, but it was. I was chuffed to bits. I was thrilled. I thought, this is it. This is what you need. We need to be in a good place so they can get sponsors. I've got the contacts. I'm already in talks to them, but we need to start making moves. We need to start winning stuff and gaining an exposure, gaining a following. I thought, this is it. We're on that. We're on to it now. So I not only that, but I was just thrilled when they won. I'm sure anyone who's played for Choke will know how passionate and excited I get when a team wins. a tournament or does well, yeah, I just go nuts. Feels like I'm winning. So like I'm watching football or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're part of the team. Obviously, you get them to these events, and then they give you a little back.
It's hard work. Yeah, exactly.
We just briefly mentioned it then, but from then you get to Four Nations, and obviously you win that, and then Epic Land 14, which we mentioned before, you win that, and then you come to I-54, and I think you changed the lineup slightly. Like yes, Max Law, yeah. Like, what kind of mindset did you have to like both the players? I mean, you've said that they were quite confident already, but what kind of mindset did you have with these players, and the players have mindset to basically take so many victories in a row? Because I think it was like about 6 months of like complete dominance where you came first or at least second, like straight in a row back to back from all those tournaments.
The mindset was a lot different. I don't know if I should go into too much detail, but the mindset had changed. They weren't confident of winning that tournament. They had their reasons for that. They said they could get top 2, but they didn't feel they could win it. At the time, Max Law and what happened was, so after Four Nations, there was a lot of interest around the players. But not long before that, Max Law and Tudor both joined what became Ex Nihilo. And they were playing with this other group of players in ranked 5. So our team wasn't playing at all together as a team. And Tudor and Max were playing with this other group of players, but the level was a little bit higher, I think. And I don't know but what happened was, although we'd won Four Nations, don't forget FM had changed their lineup, and it was a much stronger lineup now than what it had been. So they were doing really well. So it almost felt like the power was shifting slightly. And when we went there, the players said to me, "We can get second, but we think FM are too strong at the moment. We will probably come second." And that's what they believed, and that's what happened. And I think even in the last game they actually surrendered in the game that they lost.
Yeah, that was due to the bug, wasn't it?
With an admin decision, yeah. Which I was upset with, because you should never surrender. I'm very much like, it's not over till it's over. They obviously it's different in league. Sometimes it's over, but at least play it out. We had all our sponsors watching. There was people watching on the Eclipse stand, and they forfeited, and it was a bit like.
I can understand the frustration.
I can understand the frustration and why they want to do it.
That game was definitely over after that, because it was such a snowball. It was like protect the cob.
Such a snowball, yeah.
That was it.
And we were on to win it. And that's the beauty, or sometimes the frustrating part of when you're at that level of esports. When you're playing at that level, the smallest of mistakes can cost a game, or the smallest of things can change everything, and just that one bind. That bind just changed the whole dynamics of the game, and that's what can happen. And that's what happens at that level of play. Small mistakes or small things can change the whole outcome of something. But yeah, they weren't happy. And then I think after that Insomnia, if I'm right, Max Law and Ruben went off to play more with their 5s team that became Ex Nihilo. I think then Seb went to Turkey.
Yeah.
Josh changed to HOTS, and I think Divot was playing Hearthstone. I don't know.
So what were your thoughts when this happened, when the team obviously split up after that I-Series?
I understood why. I understood why they wanted to split up. I wished them all the best. There was no hard feelings whatsoever. I was upset. Basically, one of the things was, they had just come a long way. After Four Nations, there was a lot of interest. We had interviews on like PCR Online and MVC and I can't pronounce it, Kotaku, whatever that website's called. There was a massive, there was a massive interest in these players. And what I was trying to do at that time, between Four Nations and Insomnia, there was talks of a gaming house. We were looking to get more financial sponsorship. We were looking to a gaming house set. We were looking to try and get these players in the environment they needed to be, to get into the, get them in the right mindset, get them playing together, because they had the ability to do it. There was talk. They were saying this is the time when the UK might get into Challenger Series. This lineup. Remember, there was a lot of hype around them. But as an organisation, we couldn't offer them what these other orgs could. We couldn't offer them an LCS spot in Turkey. We couldn't offer them salaries that Ex Nihilo were paying. They were owned by a very rich guy. We just couldn't do it. And they went on to do that, to do better, to go on to something else, which is just what happens. It's just what happens. But I was confident that we'd been able to, with these players, build a good reputation and build good foundations to pick up another good team, or players. People would think, oh, Choke Gaming, we want to play. Because I think if you get an org to a point where it's a good brand name, it's a good team, people will want to play for it. Good players will always want to play for you. So I thought, well, if we've kind of been progressing, we started off with Kevin and co, and now we've got these guys. If they do leave, we can maybe attract the same caliber or not too much below again. Yeah, so it wasn't like, in fact, I think when they left, we were looking at changing our focus anyway. We were then thinking, should we just change our focus to CSGO? Because at the time, League of Legends, to me, it was like, I might as well just save all my money, wait for Challenger Series to come about, and spend loads of money on salaries and all that jazz. Because Challenger Series, just wait for a team and pick them up, poach them, or whatever. We decided that, right, if we can't pick up a League of Legends team that's as good as the one we had, then we would spend less time on it and more time on developing and going into Counter-Strike Go. That was the thought process at the time. Because that was getting big viewership numbers. A lot more than UK than League of Legends was. Yeah. We're talking like 8,000 people tuning in to watch an Epic Land final. You won't, just because of the betting sites and stuff that's involved. Yeah. But it was changing, so we thought maybe we'll do the ESL thing, but if we can't find a team we're looking for, maybe we'll have to focus more on Counter-Strike Go.
So you obviously went to I-55 and a different lineup. Admittedly, this was probably one of the hardest I-Series that we've had, because we had Ex Nihilo, which was Impaler's team, and then we also had DigEU, who had just recently qualified for LCS, but they hadn't signed their contracts yet, so they were able to come over. So there's already two teams. I remember a lot of people going absolutely mental about it in the Skype chat, saying how unfair it was that they were coming over, and some people on the other hand were saying that it was fair and that it would give good practice to people. So I think you came sixth at that tournament.
Fifth, sixth, I think it was. Yeah, fifth, sixth. Yeah. So we knew we weren't good. I think. I think it was great that Dignitas and Ex Nihilo came over. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was saying they were these unbeatable teams, but I think Ex Nihilo came third, actually, didn't they? Wasn't it FM that beat them and came...
Maybe fourth. Yeah, maybe fourth. I think it was Dignitas infused in FM than Ex Nihilo.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
It was good that they came over, but I remember, had they not come over, we would have got the top three. So we would have carried on. My goal was, after all the guys left to pursue their own thing, the other things. Divot State. So DX Alchemist, the one guy I didn't think was going to ever last in the team longer than 5 minutes, was like the longest serving guy at the time. And he was still the mid laner, and everyone else around him had changed. And I thought, this lineup is still top three. I thought, if we can remain in the top three, then we're still good to go. And I believe even after that Insomnia, we were still UK top three. Because just if you discounted Dignitas and Ex Nihilo, we would have probably come third. Or maybe fourth, but I doubt it. Third would have been probably finished Infused FM, one of them two, and then Choke. So it wasn't that disheartening after it. It wasn't disheartening at all. I really believed that this time. Prior to Insomnia, there was a real danger we weren't going to go, because we were struggling to find a lineup, and the lineup was struggling to play together. Rob came in just not long before that to help get the team together, to put them. They had no one like a Seb. They had no one that was going to get this team, work with them, and hold them together. And that's what Rob did. We brought Rob in. He came in actually originally just to help from Insomnia, just to coach the guys and help with it. But he got on with them, and it worked well. And he did a great job with them in a short space of time. We weren't going to go. I remember speaking to players saying, we're not going to send you to Insomnia because you're not practicing enough, and B, we don't think it's worthwhile going at this rate. If you haven't even got five players sorted out, we've got like 3 weeks to go before the land, so I don't think we're going to send you guys. But then Rob came on board a couple of weeks prior. Yeah, and it worked well after that. So I wasn't that fussed when they came fifth.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So obviously you brought back the guys for I-56 because Seb came back from Turkey. Maxwell wasn't playing on Ex Nihilo anymore because I think they disbanded, didn't they? After that, I don't think they were.
Was this I-56 on the last Insomnia?
I-56. Yeah. So. And obviously, Tudop, he ended up only being a sub for the team anyway, didn't he? After a while, So you brought everyone back. This time you had Tundra in support instead, and you got to the finals and you 3-0'd Aerox eSports in the final. How was it to, after like skipping and obviously not winning the last one, to then coming back again to winning and getting?
Well, I gotta be careful what I say here, I guess. Because it was just off the back of the ESL as well. I don't know how much I should tell, but originally it wasn't going to be Tundra, Chewed Up, Numlocked, and Co going to Insomnia. It was originally going to be the lineup that went to ESL Premiership. And we had a very minor disagreement in something. It was nothing major, but what happened was just before the LAN, an opportunity came about to put together for one time only. We had an opportunity to put together a one time only lineup that won won the Four Nations, apart from Max Law and Tundra. There was the opportunity. I think originally it was going to. I can't remember how the team came about exactly, but that option was given to me, and I wasn't sure. Seba can tell you. We sat in my kitchen, and I was like, because at the end of the day, it's a business, and you wanted to win as much money as you can. You want to do as well as you can, and I think after the third, fourth at ESL, Ravino had said he wasn't going to come to Insomnia. Me and Haddo were kind of not seeing eye to eye on a certain subject. And I'd been approached by, I don't know if I should say all this, but I'd been approached by Infused team, and they asked if they could play for Choke. This is at the Premiership. And I said, well, I've already got a lineup kind of thing, but I don't know, maybe after Insomnia or something. I don't know. It was, thanks for showing interest, but I'm not sure you play for Infused. They'd had something going on with Infused. I don't know. They had approached me. But anyway, after that, then like Tudor had come to me and said, oh, yeah, can we make it? It was all about making a second team for Choke. And Choke have 2 League of Legends teams. And that was the original thought process. But then what happened was, I just thought, actually, for this one time only, we're going to bring back some familiar faces and have Seb was off. Seb was having a send off. Seb was going. He wasn't going to be playing League of Legends after he was joining G2. He'd already signed for G2. He's going to be playing Overwatch. This was his last gig so I thought maybe get some of the old faces back, have a one last hand, almost like the lineup that won 4 Nations or was a successful Choke team. It was almost like a showcase, a kind of a marketing thing. That's all it was. It was nothing. There was nothing any personal to players who were in the current lineup at the time. It was nothing like that. It was just a case of for one time only. We were going to do this thing. It didn't sit well, obviously, with the current lineup. They weren't happy. They wanted to go Insomnia, so it can be understandable. But that's how it kind of played out. And they went, and I bigged it up to the sponsors. We went, and at one point we were in danger of not getting to the final, thanks to Aerox eSports. They 2-1 them or 2-0 them, I can't remember, in the knockout stages, and there was a real danger then. I think when we played Uplay or Upro, whatever they were called.
Yeah, I think Upro.
We lost the first game against them, and I was sitting there thinking, oh man, I've just kind of, to the sponsor, said we're going to put this lineup together that had been playing at 4 Nations and stuff for like a one-time gig. We can market it a little bit, sell it, not sell it like that, but that's kind of how it was. And I thought, I was sitting there thinking, sweating, like, oh wow. And I remember Rob, because Rob wasn't happy that we'd done what we did. And I think his tweets at the time were very like, how, we used to beat so there was egg almost on my face. I was very much, I started to feel like, oh my God, this is a little embarrassing. What if these guys get knocked out? I'm just going to be, Rob will say, I told you so. Some people say, I told you so kind of thing. And I was just like, oh God, I don't know what to do with it. But no, we went on to win it, and it was good. It was great. Went on to win it, yeah, and they won and won. I'm sure the lineup that we already had with Haddo and Jokerism, Ravino, Dongs, who's now called Furion, I think, and Seb, I'm pretty confident they could have gone and won it as well.
Yeah.
It was more the case of kind of doing this whole thing about them being, they played for us before. That was more the selling point. And because there was some little small things that needed to be ironed over with the lineup at the time. Yeah.
So moving on then.
But there was no bad blood. I want to make sure there was it wasn't like we were in big arguments over something. There was just a few different disagreements on very small things. We've always got to try and see eye to eye, because with an organization, it's got three things primarily: the investment or sponsors, the management team, and the players. And if one of those isn't seen eye to eye, wasn't working properly, then the whole thing can fall apart. So yeah, but yeah, no, it was a good. Yeah, we went and we enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Yeah. So moving on then from the iSeries, just slightly after iSeries, because we're only getting to the last 2 months now. Or last month and a half, you're not part of Choke anymore. You're moving on to better things. So, like, what's the plan here? Like, do you want to give us a bit of insight on what you're actually planning to do now?
Yeah, I can give you a little bit of insight, I guess. Everyone's going to find out sooner or later. So, yeah, I'm not part of Choke Gaming anymore. We had a disagreement on just stupid stuff, really. Just a direction on where Choke was going to go. And yeah, I'm not part of them anymore. So my goals are pretty much, they're the same as they have been. I'm currently, as you know, working now for Micron Technologies, who have the Crucial and Ballistics brands. This is something that I started in December, which the owners of Choke Gaming weren't happy about. They saw it as a conflict of interest, although the owners of eSports Interactive also own Eclipse Computers, so I'm sure there's a conflict of interest there as well, but anyway, let's not get into that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I started working for Crucial, and I want to stress that my job with them is all very much about pro UK esports. What Crucial actually want to do, what Michael want to do, is they want to invest into the UK esports scene. And my job with them is consulting them and telling them, I guess not telling them, but advising them on where they should be spending their money and what they should be doing. And that's my role with them. So there is going to be you're going to see initially. You're going to see. I can't say. I'm in an NDA, so I can't say too much about what goes on.
Yeah.
But there is going to be definitely investment in UK esports. You're going to see the Crucial Ballistics name sponsoring events, creating events. There will be love for everybody. Initially, unfortunately, I don't think League of Legends will be included, and that's not. Everyone here knows I got a big love for League of Legends. It's not because it's not viable. It's because to kickstart off, we're going to go with something that gets bigger audience numbers. But we there's going to be a lot of love from. I am now trying to. When I did Choke, I wanted to put some love into UK esports via a gaming org, and unfortunately, fortunately, that did happen. I think people could see my passion involved and the hard work I put in. Unfortunately, though, there was also mistakes were made. And I had some falling outs with people. I made some mistakes. They made some mistakes. We didn't see eye to eye. I got, there was a bit of thing with the UK CSGO community. There's no point going over old stuff, opening old wounds. And we didn't really, and so I was what's the word? I was misunderstood sometimes. I've never been one against players or against other orgs or against the UK esports. I'm pro UK esports and pro esports. Now with Crucial, I'm able to hopefully give that love and give with a company like Micron, who is so big. This is a big, massive company. We're talking $1 billion company. If they can, if I can get them to invest into UK esports, if I can, give something back that way, it's a different route I'm taking. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to be doing with them is trying to get involved in esports and UK esports especially. So hopefully, watch this space. You will see stuff that you will be all interested in eventually. I can't go into too much detail.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's why I'm going to go to that. And the other thing is, of course, I did say that I wasn't going to get involved in gaming orgs again, but after my experience with Choke. Well, let's scratch that, because I am indeed going to be doing that. I've had a couple of offers from people from other organizations. I won't name names. I was quite flattered. Some people came to me afterwards and said, "Hey, Vince, do you want to come and join us? Management, shareholding, whatever, and help us with it." And I thought, oh yeah. So I took all these these offers on board, and I thought, yeah. At first, I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do the ballistics thing. I'm just going to do Crucial thing. It's I get paid a salary. It's great. I'm doing what I love, and I'm getting paid for it. Dream come true. Let's go. But the esports fan in me, I guess the entrepreneur in me, I can't stay away from being involved in an organization or in a team. I'm too competitive. That's me. That's who I am. I want to be involved. and I want to be able to build something of my own also in esports. And I thought that's what Choke Gaming was going to be. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So my next thing that I'm going to be doing, which is going to be launching actually tonight at some point, I'm going to be announcing it at some point, is going back into gaming orgs on my own as such. When I say on my own is I am going to be not really on my own. On my own as such that I'm not going to have other people that don't share my vision and will rid of me when they see fit. There's going to be other people involved, but I'm basically starting a new gaming org for everyone out there. There's a new gaming org which is going to be slowly releasing over the next couple of days. We're launching it tonight. After this, I'm going to be doing an announcement on the Twitter page that I'm going to share it around. The team name is Team Senses. And the Team Senses, in fact, I know you can't share my screen, can I? I can't really show you anything. So you'll see it all. I'll keep you posted all, guys, tonight. So it's going to be called Team Senses. And the idea behind the name is that as gamers, as people, we all use our senses, our sight, our sound, our noses, smell, sight, sound, touch. And the thing is, with the word senses, I thought, well, with Team Senses, gamers use those senses. They use their eyes. They've got to see what they're doing. They use their hands to coordinate the keyboard and mouse. They're using the sound, using their ears. They've got to hear everything. But some of these gamers out there have almost like a sixth sense. You can't explain how they just pulled off this ace. You can't explain how they just stole that Baron, or what they did was just, when you're watching them esports games, like, holy shit, what did that guy just do? And that's the kind of, it's almost like they could see into the future. They knew play by play. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and they did it at that one moment. And I believe that that is the sixth sense. So the whole name, that's where this name Team Senses came from. So Team Senses is going to be a new UK gaming org. We're going to be focusing primarily to begin with. We don't have I'll tell you what teams we've got and what we don't have and what we've got planned for it. So basically, scripted. So with Team Senses, it's going to be something that I can put my stamp on and know that I'm always going to have that stamp on it. There are other people involved in it, some more so than others. I am not going to be, unfortunately, with this. What I'm trying to do, though, I want to be involved, but I don't want to be like I was with Choke in the sense that I don't want to be dealing with the day-to-day management of the players. I want to focus more so on the business side of it, the sponsorship dealings and all that jazz, and building it. So I'm going to have a marketing team involved. I'm going to have a management team involved, and they're going to be doing those bits, and I will be focusing mainly. So you won't see me as much probably running around on the stages, dealing with the players as such. I will obviously do that. Lined up in the wages for my life, but I'm more so. It's not about that. It's more so about just being. I want to be more background and at the forefront of it. But I will be. I'm just that kind of person. I will be involved at some capacity with the management of it. But I'm predominantly going to be focused on the business side of it. Thank you very much, Shinji 2D. He's going to be a sexy man. Thank you very much. Very handsome yourself. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm not going to be you probably won't see me as much like running around managing the players, carrying PCs, and feeding them grapes and waving them down and giving them water. But I will definitely be involved, and that is the new thing. Team Senses. You're going to www.teamsenses.com. You will see the landing page we have currently. The website is in development. We're launching tonight. We're going to be a Twitter announcement on our Twitter account. And yeah, we're going to be launching. So you're going to see me back, with a gaming org. But we're going to be launching initially with a Dota 2 team, 2 Street Fighter 2 players, and a stream team. These are some things I was going to introduce. The stream team and the Stream Fighter 2 players are something I was going to introduce to Choke Gaming, but yeah, there you go. That didn't happen. So yeah, there's 2 guys going to be joining Street Fighter 5. So did I say Street Fighter 2? I meant Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 2, man, showing my age. Street Fighter 5, 2 players from Street Fighter 5. They're going to be playing. They're very good. One of them's called Shinji, and he's the guy I just said I'm a hot bloke. He's obviously got to say that because the owner of the thing. But yeah, so we're going to be going into that initially. I'm very keen to speak to League of Legends and Counter-Strike teams if they wish to speak to me. And but our main focus initially will be dealing with what we've got, which is a Dota 2 team, which is the previous Choke Gaming team, and two Street Fighter 2 players, and a team of streamers. Streaming is what I believe is what organizations need to move forward as well. They need people that YouTube and stream. It's massive. It's something you can't ignore. Yeah, so Dota 2 and those things is something we're going to be concentrating on initially and beginning with. We want to make sure that they're perfected. But League of Legends and Counter-Strike, I'm always happy to hear people that want to get involved. And maybe approach me and say, hey, man, you can go a lead team. What's the chance? I'm always happy to have discussions with them. More so Shorty, our team's manager, he'll be the guy that you speak to more so than me now. I'm just going to be in the background. I'll be around, of course. But so we're going to be focused on those things to begin with, Dota 2 and Street Fighter 5. And then we will be moving on to other stuff, I'm sure, as it comes. But tonight you will see team jerseys getting posted around. The website will go live hopefully sometime next week. But Twitter and Facebook, and also we're going to be doing a giveaway as well. We're going to be doing a giveaway. We were hoping to launch the giveaway tonight. But we're just waiting on confirmation of a couple of items. We're gratefully going to be still sponsored by a couple of sponsors I worked with previously, Crucial Ballistics, and this is no brainer really, and G2 Omega, an online key store, and hopefully other companies that we worked with previously will be coming on board as well. You don't want to go into the 2D. We're in quarter one at the moment in the business world, so some of them can't commit right now. So it'll be later on, like quarter two, quarter three kind of time. But yeah, so that's the thing. New UK org. So awesome. I'm hoping that I want to get involved with League of Legends and CS:GO, but I've got to do it at the right time. I don't want to make any mistakes I made at Choke Gaming. I learned from them. Hopefully they won't happen again. And we will move forward. And I hope that the new name and a new brand will do UK esports justice. And I hope that it will do as well, if not better, than what Choke Gaming did previously.
Awesome.
And of course, I wish all the guys at Choke Gaming all the best as well.
Of
course, I currently play for them and currently manage them.
So
I still own 25% of it. So they've got to do well.
We've just hit the 2-hour mark, so I'm just going to say.
Wow, 2 hours. Holy shit! I told you not to interview me. I talk forever.
So we'll just take a quick break for 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back, guys. So keep tuned. We'll be talking about the UK scene and contracts after this 2-minute break. Thanks, everyone. Right, everyone, welcome back. So, Vince, going on from there, I would just like to talk
Sorry, I
about.
just when I went to the toilet, I just thought I want to do two things.
Right, go
First
on.
of all, I wanted to say a big thank you to the guys that offered me a position or to be part of their gaming org. I haven't got to be around to speak to all of them, so if any of them are watching, I'm very flattered, very grateful for that. Thank you for that. And also, I wanted to point out that the team census thing. What was I going to say? Oh my God, see, I had a million things running through my head. I wanted to thank. I can't remember what I was going to say, and I'll just thank them for that. And also with team census, I don't want to take all the limelight for it. There's other people involved as well, just in case it came across that way. There's other people involved that are going to be working on it. Some of them were more so than others. But yeah. Anyway, Carol, crack on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got myself a little cheeky vodka as well, vodka lemonade.
So you've obviously been a player for a while and like a manager for a while. You've kept up with the scene for a while as well. So if you could grab any like players to form like a super team, who would you like take and why?
In League of Legends, should we go with League? I'm guessing more so people in there will be League related. If I was going to pick a UK roster, if I could pick the UK Dream Team to go to like try and get into LCS, something like that, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I mean, you obviously picked the recent ones because you thought they'd win the LAN, but if you knew you'd be able to keep them, who would you pick? Like in each, then maybe not even they synergize well together. Just each individual player, you think they're the best at that role.
I think top lane would be Alfabri or Numlocked. We'll go jungler next. UK wise, jungler would either be Impaler or Nocturnal Plex. I'll go with two players in each position, Impaler or Nocturnal Plex. I think Nocturnal Plex. Oh, sorry, Maxlor. Oh, that's a tough one. We'll go with three. Go with three there. No, we can't. We'll go with one. That we'll go with. I know Matt. I've met Matt a few times. Matt got very drunk at my house prior to one of the insomnias.
Vince Lan won.
We didn't get Vince Lan won. You were there as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Was you there? Yeah, you were, weren't you? God, I'm kind of trying to remember now. See, old age, memory issues. Vince Lan #1. Hopefully, we'll have another one in the future. And yeah, let's go with either him or Maxlor, just down to experience. I think I'd probably go more for Maxlor because he's like his dad, Daddy Vince to Maxlor. He's played for Choke a couple of times. We've got a good relationship, so let's pick Maxlor on that basis. And he's got a good ability. I'm not going to say he's crap. He's a very good jungler indeed. Yeah, one of the best in the UK. So let's go with let's go with two players. So Impaler or Maxlor jungle, Alfari or Numlocked top. Mid lane would be K-Drill or pretty much Renegades have got the lineup, but Renegade, K-Drill, Divot, DX Alchemist, and then support. It's not like Haddo's a good support player. Tundra's a good support player. I'd probably say Tundra is he better than Haddo? I haven't seen enough of them both to play. But Tundra, Josh, I'm sure Josh was a great support player, Zodiac. I'm sure if he wanted to, he could be good again. So it'd be one of those three in support. I don't know which, if I'm honest. I'd probably go with Josh purely on the fact that I'm more friends with him. But ability-wise, I think when he was on form, maybe he was the best support player. Casing, of course, Casing. Where did Rob just came out with Casing? How can I forget Casing? Yeah, right. Scrap Haddo, Tundra, and Josh. Sorry, Bates. Sorry, boys. Casing support. Sorry, boys. Yeah, you've just been done over there by Rob. Casing, and then AD carry would be again tough one. I think Toaster's a very good AD carry. Jokerism's a very good AD carry. I think Chewdup's a very good AD carry, but Chewdup doesn't play now. Doesn't play League. So current stand and go now, if I had to pick a team now, it would be Toaster or Jokerism. I think Toaster may be a little bit better. I don't know. The gap's closing, but I haven't seen either player play now since the last ESL Premiership, and there was nothing much between them. So, I couldn't really say who AD carry, but that would be my dream team, League of Legends. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I'd pick Toaster basically for AD carry 100%. I just think he's like a mechanical god. He's just insane how good he is at the game, really, and I'm surprised he's not. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's underrated, but he's not probably raved about as much as I think he should probably be.
He's not lost his way almost, but it's weird. When he was in FM at that one point when they were like, if you remember in the last year and a half, it was, I think, Infused or FM, who was like, let's say the first Insomnia. It was an FM. FM were like the powerhouse. Then it became Choke for like 6 months. And FM for a very brief, short team, but they did become the powerhouse. And then FM took over that, and FM went unbeaten and everything. But during that time of when FM were really good, or they were Toaster was screamed about more than he was. It's almost like now that since FM died down a little bit, and he hasn't been on the finals as much or whatever.
Yeah.
It's almost like the spotlight's come off him a little bit, but we can't forget how good he is.
Yeah, after that stint is when Infused like came with Alfari and Arfan, and that's when they've obviously been a little bit more successful recently. But they obviously they didn't go to I-56, did they? I don't think.
No, it was a different lineup again.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Sorry, they didn't go to. No, they didn't go because they weren't happy to play for Infused. Don't know if I'm allowed to say all this. I'm not under any NDA with them. They weren't happy. They weren't happy to be playing for Infused. And then Maxlaw came and played for us, so they had no jungler. And then like Tundra played for us, so FM didn't have. I don't think FM was sending the team anyway, or I don't know.
They weren't. That's why Tundra was looking elsewhere.
So that's kind of So that's how that happened. But with Toaster, I think Toaster's very gifted and very talented. It would be just a matter of time until he's on a big team. And the same for Nocturnal Plex as well. He's another young talent. He's always been good. I've known him now since like when he played for Choke, like, more longer than a year ago. When he was too young for Four Nations, he's very gifted as well. If he knuckles down and adopts. Not saying he's got the wrong attitude, but adopts a good attitude, and he's already got a good attitude. But if everyone has their weaknesses. If he improves on his weaknesses and and on his strengths as well, he will definitely be a very good player. More so than he is now. He's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, definitely.
So if Impalo or Max are around, my third choice jungler.
So we've obviously talked about LANs in the past and LANs recently. Like comparing the time back in like 2001 to 2006 to 2014 to now. Like, have you seen much growth? I mean, we were talking about prize pools. That obviously it hasn't increased that much, but have you seen much growth in the scene in other regards at all?
Yeah, massively. There's more teams, and that's a great thing. League of Legends now, you've got more recognized names. You got there's Choke are still in League of Legends. Then you've got FM are still there. I'm not sure about Infused as yet, but you've got TCA. M&M, Mana Light now are in the scene. There's 6 teams. You've got who else? Paria. I'm not sure if Aerox are there, but if they were, let's just go by orgs. There's 7 orgs there that were involved in League of Legends or still are. There's loads, And then when I decided to do this Choke thing, there wasn't. There was like a couple of teams, and everyone else was just mates. Nothing serious. But now there's more serious teams, so that's a lot's changed in a year and a half in the UK. The esports has changed massively, absolutely tremendously, and only for the better. What the next step is the contracts, and it's players changing their. What's needed to change for the future is the contracts need to be put in place. There needs to be a little bit more money. Yeah, Exertus XL. Sorry, League UK. Yeah, I'm old. Can't remember everything. There needs to be salaries need to start beginning like that because it's a reality. But salaries won't come until there's more money invested in the scene, and that'll only come when there's more teams and more exposure. So some people with money will be able to pay some people salaries right now, but not everyone will be able to do that until the money filters down through sponsorships. But anyway, so yeah, the massive, it's changed massively. ESL do a fantastic job with the Premiership. Yeah, they're really trying to promote the UK scene. They've made mistakes, but we all make mistakes. Insomnia are looking to try and focus more on multiplayer on esports. The sad part with multiplayer is they have everything they need to become the biggest UK esports thing. Like, they have the venue, they have the staff, they have the stages, they have the sponsors. Why isn't Insomnia a major event, a worldwide major event? They've got it. They could easily surpass ESL with the money they have and with the sport they have. I don't know why they haven't. Why it's still esports and multiplayer is early surpassed has been more of a basement thing, you know, and they moved the stages around and they didn't, like, they were more interested in Minecraft and the YouTube stuff. I don't get me wrong, I understand business, and YouTube and Minecraft are big business. Twitch is big business. It's big business, you know, it's big business. But they have to focus on esports, and they are going to, I believe. Esports is getting bigger, they can't ignore it. Every year it's like esports now, next year is going to be even bigger. But yeah, it's changed a lot. And I think it's only going to get better. You're going to see more and more organizations. Like the Challenger Series spot now, or the qualification spot now in ESL is massive. There's something for people to play for. More money is going to get pumped into that. More interest will get pumped into that. That's great for UK League of Legends. But I'm a big believer in that the UK doesn't need anything other than the UK to become big. Very much like we have our own football. Football, rugby, the cricket, all these things, tennis, that we're all good at in traditional sports, and we don't need to be playing on a European playing field to be recognised as good. We don't have to be. I'm sorry, there's someone at my door. That's inconvenient. We don't need. We do. We can get, if we can get our own investment and our own things. We won't need anyone else. We won't need the EU or international stuff. I'll be right back. I've got to answer my door.
Yeah, that's cool. So just quickly, while Vince gets to the door, does anyone want to chip in on what they think that we're maybe like lacking in the scene? We were just talking a little bit there about it, but is there anything that anyone wants to talk about? I mean, it's a slight delay, so it might take a while to get to you. Oh, Vince is back. Hello.
No.
I was just asking a quick question to the Twitch chat, but there's a little bit of a delay, so
okay.
Yeah, okay, you can continue on if there's any point that you were going to continue on from that.
What was I saying? Yeah, so just it will come with time. I think this year's going to be a big year. I think next year will be even better. Every year that goes on, we're going to be big, and I think we need to focus on our own doorstep before we start looking at EU and stuff. And I don't think we need to maybe right now venturing into EU and stuff is a good thing to do, but I'm hoping that soon we won't need it. The UK can prosper and just be its own beast, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we have ESLs to thank a lot for the last year and a half growth because of them. A lot more teams have been interested, and we need more tournaments like that. You know, because of Epic Land stopping League of Legends now, the only two major things we've really got in the scene is ESL and Insomnia. Yes, you've got the Newell, but that's just for students. It's a very niche market. So we need more tournaments so that people can actually, you know, if we have more tournaments where people can therefore get prize money from it, sponsors are more likely to get involved, and with more sponsors getting involved, it means that more teams are going to get involved, and you just keep going until, you know, these players can actually make like an income from what they're doing. Because right now, like, let's say we'll talk about Choke, who obviously they won for 6 months in a row. Like, those players probably didn't really get any money out of like that compared to what, say, someone in EU would. Like, it's so negligible compared to what an EU player would get, because the tournament prizes aren't huge.
Yeah, what we need as well, like Rob's saying, is we need to give more chance for themselves and roles that are filtering out. The shit is involved, but what the key thing is exposure. Forget coming first, second, or third in a tournament. The only numbers that people with money want to know about is how many people saw you do it. How many people can we sell to, right? So it's all about exposure. So ESL Premiership, when it first started, for example, let's go ESL. Well, not many teams entered, did they, for the League of Legends stuff? There was the usual glot in there. Now look at the qualifications. Look at all the teams that are trying to get into it. There's a lot more teams, a lot more that are closer, competitive. The skill gap isn't massive. Yeah, there's Manalai are a good lineup. Renegades are probably, you know, let's go on paper, will probably, you know, they look like the favourites to win it. FM have got a new lineup. You know, so there's a lot of lineups that are close in comparison to skill level. But what happens is the interest builds. Everyone wants to watch what's going on. If the ESL Premiership can have 10 teams in it and it starts to get 10,000, 20,000 viewers on a regular basis, believe me, more money will get pumped into it, and more sponsors will want to get involved with the organizations themselves. And once that happens, the organization then gets more financial support, and then they can start offering their players salaries if they can't already do that through their own means, from their own pocket. So not a lot of orgs have rich millionaires that own them, or rich, well-off people. They just some guy who started it and wants to do well for it, and build something, invested his own savings into it, or he works a day job and puts some of his salary into it. Only then, once the leagues and stuff gain the proper interest, only then will more money get involved. That money will filter, like I said before, will filter to the organizations. The organizations then can filter it down to the players. That's what will happen. And I believe me, it will happen. Look at the Premiership. I said this before, in an interview I did at Insomnia. 100 years ago, 100 and whatever year, 1901s, football was a sport that got played. Yeah. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. These players can earn close to half a million or more a week in playing a game. The more commercial it gets, the more it will be when more money gets involved. But we all have to play our part in doing that. The organizations have to stay together. The leagues have to keep going. The players need to keep playing. And then, because if we all decide to give up, then it won't happen.
For sure. I mean, we definitely need more people like actively
involved. And also we need, someone made a point about the amateur side of it. We need to introduce people to esports. And we need to have those lower level tournaments to not put people off from playing against the big boys. Some people will thrive. They'll relish on the opportunity to go and play against one of the top teams in the UK. Some players won't. They'll be like, I'm bronze 5, man. There's no fun in me getting my ass handed to me. Why can't I play in a tournament that's more my level? And that's what will happen. You're going to have your pro leagues and your amateur leagues. And we need amateur leagues. And we need the amateur leagues then to build up. The teams can have a progression from amateur to pro to the world stage. When in a sense, we need to almost copy a little bit traditional sports in how we do things, because it's successful. Traditional sports have proven that what they do is successful. Why don't we copy some of it at least?
Well, not just that. We don't need just players. We need people who obviously support the organizations, whether that's analysts, coaches, writers, like social media
need everyone
staff.
Involved.
Like there's like some people who are obviously interested in taking part in an organization. If they think that they want to do something like that, reach out to these organizations, because believe me, they are looking for people who can help them create a brand and obviously get some more help so that they can create something out of the UK scene. There's plenty of places for these people to get involved.
Like when I first started Choke, for example, it was just me alone. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, really. And yeah, I had some people say they were going to help me. I had to do the social media. I had to do the meetings with the sponsors, the phone arounds, the emails. I had to then manage the players. I had to deal on the social media. I had to do the Twitter. I had to update the website. I had to manage the website, manage the social media, manage the players, manage the sponsors, manage the accounts, manage the business, manage everything. And look where it got me. Pretty much no. Don't get me wrong. Choke was successful. We had great players, but where did it get me personally? It got me nowhere. Really, it did get me somewhere. I got a job with Crucial. I'm able to start my own org. It gave me experience. But what I mean by that is now you have to have them people around you. If you can take some of the workload off, you can concentrate on different things. So now, like with Team Senses, we're gonna have a guy that's going to be doing all the marketing side of it, social media side of it. We're gonna have another guy that's doing like an ops manager. He's going to be doing a lot of stuff that maybe I could do, but maybe my time is better spent elsewhere, and he'll be able to deal with that. We're going to have a teams manager. And the team's manager will be looking after each team will have their own management. That will go then to the team manager, to the ops manager, to me, and then other people will come in as it gets bigger, and you need these people. But the struggle for orgs is that sometimes the expectations from the helpers is also, well, if I'm doing your marketing, what am I getting? How much money are you going to give me? And that's the tricky part, because not a lot of orgs have money. So what they're hoping for is people will do this out of the kindness of their heart initially. And then if they can grow together, and then they will get rewarded together. But if you've got money, then great, you can maybe incentivize people to help you. But sometimes sometimes people want to help because they want to be a part of it, and they want to build their own portfolio. And maybe they're in uni, maybe they want to get a job, but they got no experience, they want to do some marketing for you. That's always a good thing.
So following on from that point, then, do you think it's more of like an organizational issue, or is it a player issue for the UK scene? Is it the players that aren't necessarily as dedicated as they could be, or do you think the organization isn't as dedicated to the players as they should be, or a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both. I think sometimes orgs can be run better. They can do things better. The management can do things better. I think players as well. I think sometimes some players have too high expectations. They either don't know their value or they overvalue themselves. And then the organization can sometimes falter by not valuing their players as highly as they should do, or maybe overvaluing them to the point where they've wasted money. And I think what there needs to be more of is more of a relationship between the organ and players and more of a commitment to work with each other. Not to just jump ship when a better offer comes along, when you think the grass is greener. And the organization has to be honest and open with the players, and the players need to do the same. And I think when you can find that right chemistry, then it's like a perfect scenario. Like when Seb and Tudor all played for Choke, and I had them for 6 months or more. If I could have got the game in-house sorted and salaries and whatnot, right, which was in talks, those guys would have stayed because they all wanted to progress. They couldn't do it with Choke. They had to go on to other things, but they would have done it with me all day long. I believe that. I believe in my heart that they, my heart is like a love story here, but I believe that they would have stayed with Choke had I been able to give them the things that they really needed to move forward. So that was an organizational thing, not a player thing. And yeah, I think that players have to be more realistic and understanding the same with the orgs. It's 50-50. But players as well, if we want to start acting professional, if we're going to be considered as UK professionals, the orgs and managers have to act professional, and so do the players. I see too many on Twitter talking nonsense, talking absolute, just, going into Twitch streams, making arguments, talking about people in certain ways. If you're in a public face and you're a professional gamer, you need to start acting professional. And it's the same for a management. The same, if you saw me tweeting things directed at players who I didn't like or didn't get on with, it wouldn't be cool, And I think, we need to all act accordingly and professionally. We all do need to do that, Don't get me wrong. I'm passionate, and sometimes I want to send out a little tweet to someone, and I have to. Shorty's normally the guy who's like, "Vince, don't do it," and he's like virtually deleting the key, hitting the delete key on my keyboard. I'm very hard for not saying what I think, but I'd get myself into trouble, I think. So yeah, we just got professional together.
I think that's a good follow up to this. Then is to talk about a little bit about contracts. And whether this is a good thing or a bad thing to improve the scene. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on this, but I personally think it's definitely a good thing for the scene.
Yeah, contracts are a must. They have to happen. And I'll tell you why, because sponsors just won't sponsor teams anymore that are not contracted. And if they do, it'll be crap. The sponsorship won't be on the level it could be. CSGO hasn't picked it up yet. Then I don't think any of the teams are contracted. And they're a fickle bunch, and they do need to start looking outside the box. They need to start. The problem is, we all know that this eSports is a real thing now, and the players need to start believing that, and they need to understand that these organizations are businesses, and that the sponsors are businesses, and it's not a place of just turning up and playing a video game. You have to commit, and you have to sign these contracts. Right? I'll tell you a true story here. I could have got for my players gear, serious amounts of gear from sponsors had they just signed a contract. The level of financial support would have gone up had they signed a contract, but they wouldn't because there was no salary involved. But it's not cheap to send players to a LAN tournament. You can spend £1,500 on one team to go to Insomnia. I've said this in my video on YouTube. Why isn't there why isn't there a written agreement between the player and the organization? Because what happens is things can get promised or things can get spoke about that get forgotten about, sometimes lost in translation. What I meant is not what I said. What I said was not what I meant. And then there's arguments happen. It happened with me and the CSGO team. We agreed on things and some things didn't happen. I forgot about something. They forgot about something. Had we just written it down? No, you said that Vince, as a manager, as an organizer, you're going to deliver this. You haven't delivered it. We're not happy. Okay, great. Or I can turn around and say, player A, Marek, man, you said you were going to do this and you haven't. I'm not happy. Sort it out. And there's an agreement made. You don't have to be talking salaries to get a contract or an agreement made, but they need to be there. It's the way forward, and we have to, or everyone has got to adopt it. Everyone has to. Everyone's got to adopt it, and the contracts, they have to be fair and they have to protect both the organization and the player. Like let's go with Chewed-Up and Maxlaw, both leaving to join Ex Nihilo. The guy was a billionaire. We all know the guy. We've all seen him on the news recently. Yeah, do you know who he is, Marek? Yeah,
yeah
right? So the guy's well off.
The guy who bumped up the prices.
Pharmacist guy. Yeah, right? He was well off. Now imagine had them guys been on contract. I would not have stopped them from going to Ex Nihilo. But Ex Nihilo would have had to have paid a fee to have them, which would have put Choke in a better financial position, which then would have given Choke maybe some of the financial money they needed to do what we had planned. You see? So, and I'm sure those guys would have bought them would have bought them players, because at the time that's what they wanted. They wanted Chewed-Up and they wanted Maxlaw. If an organization thinks you're worth it, they will pay a buyout clause. But you can't make the buyout clauses silly, because if we start making a buyout clause, let's say we got our dream lineup and we're saying we are okay, right? You can have Alfari if you give me 15 grand. that's just ridiculous to all. That's silly. It has to be reasonable. It has to be a reasonable amount to make sure that the org is because sometimes things are paid in advance. Imagine you're going to Insomnia, you've booked it up 2 months, 3 months in advance, paid for hotels, tickets, and then your team leaves to join another org, and you've spent all this money. You want compensation? Holy shit! We've just spent investment from sponsors on this tournament. We can no longer attend because our team just upped and left and went to another org. And the sponsor's like, why are we going to spend any more money on this team? They kind of get a team together, and then the sponsor drops off. And it helped nobody. No one was helped by that. So there needs to be an agreement and needs to be contracts, and contracts are the way forward.
Yeah, we had an issue for us where 2 weeks before one of our players, at I-56, one of our players left, and obviously it's difficult because then you have to find someone really quickly and then try and get the team to gel with this new player so that you can try and attempt to do well in the tournaments that are just coming up. And I think an issue with contracts that some players might see is it's quite scary. They don't know what they're, because of all the legal jargon, they don't know what they're actually signing into. But it shouldn't be something that's scary. As you said, it should be fair. Like you don't have to have a salary to be contracted. To be contracted.
Even if it's like a, I mean, look at the ESL. Yeah, that spot is licensed to the team or the organization. So why not even have a contract that it doesn't immediately serve the longevity of the team, but say, right, you're contracted for this season. Like it is in football terms, you're contracted, or we're going to contract for 2 ESL seasons, or whatever. I don't know, but then the problem is, the tournaments are so far apart that anything could happen. You could contract a guy for one ESL, and 6 months have passed until the next one, and he's gone and joined someone else anyway because times change, and that's the other thing is that time is of the essence. So you can go think of fair ways to contract players. I think 12-month contracts are too long. I think sometimes 6 months might be too long. You have to come to an agreement with players. You have to find a contract that suits both the player and the org. And there's ways in which you can, like the contracts that Team Senses will use will be fair and they will be negotiable. It won't be like, this is what you're doing, and if you don't do it, you're not in the team. It will be right. These are the outline of the contract. Obviously, there's terms and conditions you can't break, but the outline of the contract, what we're going to do, what you're going to do, blah, 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 and let's negotiate that and let's work it out. That's all it is. So it's coming to a common ground and having the same goals.
You've got to treat it like a job, really. If you want to be professional, you have to treat it as a job. Everyone who has a job is contracted to do certain tasks, and it can be vague in some areas. And if it is, you need to obviously finalize what those areas are. But if you want to be a professional, then you have to have a contract. Simple. Like you're working at the end of the day. It's not a hobby anymore.
I don't think though if you've got a contract, but the one thing I would say is if you've got a salary involved in your contract, if you haven't got a salary, then you can't tell a player they need to turn up 40 hours a week playing a video game. You can't tell them they need to put in X, Y, and Z amount of practice sessions because I just don't think that's a fair thing to do. Say, we're not offering you a salary. Like, this would be a completely unfair contract. Yeah, we're not going to give you a salary. We're not going to pay you to play, but we expect you to put in 40 hours a week. And by the way, if someone wants you, we're going to charge them 10 grand for your services. Like, that would be a bullshit contract. What good contract for most League of Legends players now would be, I guess, would be something along a salary would be nice. So if it says a salary involved, yeah, let's crack on. Let's commit to a certain time. But you could say, like, if there's no salary involved, then you could say, right, okay, let's work out together. How much time do you need to commit to it? And how much time do you think, as a player, do you need to be the best you can be at something? And they might turn around and go, well, I need to play 5 hours a week. Maybe you agree on that. We agree on the 5 hours. All right, come on. And they go to tour and they fail. And you go, I think you need more hours, buddy. But I think you should come to a common ground and be like, how many hours can you realistically put in? And then, you know, I just don't see as if you're not paying a salary, you can't force someone to play a video game. You can't say you need to play this game 8 hours a night, 3 scrims an evening or something. I just think, unless that's what the team want to do, I just don't think you could force that upon someone unless you're paying them a salary. Yes, there's orgs, the events don't cost a lot of money. Maybe you could say, all right, the cost of the event is this for you, so we're going to break it down over the next 3 months, and this is technically a salary, and we'll just pay at the end. In fact, we'll use it to pay for your LAN event. I don't know if that's a cool thing to do or not. No, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now. But, yeah, I guess I'm just reading what Loco's saying here. Good old Loco, he's my buddy Clarke. He ran Tech eSports, and at some point, I'm sure he'll be getting involved with Team Senses. I know he will be. God bless him. He's making some good points here. Yeah, if an org, in the moment they all put some money down, is basically paid well. I could tell you about Chris, actually. I'm going to tell you about Chris. Maybe we should get him on here one day. Chris Craddock, Mr. Loco kid in there, is a good friend of mine. I've known him for many, many years. We got proper bromance on the go, me and him. He had a console esports team for a number of years that went to like the world majors and everything. He had some of the biggest Call of Duty stars play on his teams, and he invested every bit of money that was on that team. He personally paid out of his own back pocket, because sponsorship deals in esports in console isn't as lucrative, because people like, let's say, Scuff and like, Co, unless you're like, it's more product based rather than financial based. I'm not saying that's what Scuff do. I can't say that. I don't know for exactly what they do, so I can't really say it's them. But from his experience, he said a lot of it was more product based rather than financial sponsorship, even though his team was up there with the best. And he put all his money into it to get screwed over by players, as what he's told me. Have players he bought people like PlayStations and Xboxes so they could play the game on, and then they leave him. Won't sign contracts. Bye, I'm off on the console. See you later, Chris. Thank you very much. And he said, when I last saw him, and I got his shirt on the back here and stuff, signed by him, got all credit. I said, when did you ever get back into it? And he said, no, I've never put another penny into esports because I just got burnt so hard by it. But I think he would, because he's got a love for it. If there was contracts involved, he knew his money wasn't going to be thrown away as it was. He was lucky. He had a lot of people on his teams that were loyal and stuff. But again, a lot of people that aren't. And when someone isn't loyal, it can cost you a lot of money, or they don't say what they're going to do. So he's found out the hard way, unfortunately. I was lucky enough not to have anyone on the team do that, really, if I remember right. I had one team leave me, a CSGO team, but hey, there we go. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So it's better to risk sponsors' money than your own, I guess. But you don't even want to be risking sponsors' money on something that isn't solid, because the minute you spend thousands of pounds on a team, but up and leave. Imagine, I don't know. Imagine Crucial say, right, Vince, I'm going to send you about 10 SSDs for your 10 players. What they're thinking is, right, we're going to send these guys SSDs. They're going to put them in the machine. Well, they're going to do whatever they want with them. But what they're going to do is they're going to list it as something that they're using on their Twitch streams or wherever they tell about the specs they use. Not only that, is that we're going to talk about them. Maybe they will talk about and promote this SSD that they're using, or this RAM. We'll send them. They're contracted. They're there for 6 months. They've got to talk about it. We're going to get exposure for 6 months, 3 months. Now, let's say they send it all over to a non-contracted team. And I'm like, hey, Crucial, man, can you send me some RAM for my players? And they're like, yeah, cool. And they send it over and give it to my guys. And they're like, tomorrow, they're like, yeah, by the way, Vince, we joined FM because they offered us an extra $5 something. I'm like, can I have the kit back? No, not really. You gave it to us. Okay. Super. Now I need to find another team. Now the team turned. Now I talk to new teams. They go, "What can you offer me? Can you offer some RAM and SSDs from your sponsor?" And I'm like, "No, because we've just got our quarterly load. We've just had our batch for the next 3 months. You know, sorry, we can do it in 3 months because that's when we get our next batch. Because the last players just decided up and leave, and then that team's going, well, if we can't get it for now, we don't want to join you. You know, so there's a perfect example. And a sponsor, the Crucial do that. Let's say Crucial do that. I'm not saying this is what they would do, but okay, Vince, we just sent you 10 hard drives. We're not sending them anymore. In fact, we're going to cancel the sponsorship deal now because we got nothing out of it. We just spent money on you and equipment, and we got nothing from it. Because these sponsors want exposure. They want their products to be spoken about. They want to be put in front of an audience they can potentially sell to, and that's the real part of it. That's the real side of esports. So contracts are there. Contracts are great because you need to have what's the word, Marek? You got to have a partnership, and you need to have whatever. I can't think. It's the vodka kicking in. You've got to have an agreement, and it's got to have a solid agreement. And only then, and only then will we be taken more seriously. So contracts are a must.
So now that we've obviously got contracts coming in, do you think gaming houses will be a thing in the near future for teams? Because obviously, one of the possibilities that you wouldn't get a gaming house is someone could just leave, or the entire team could leave, and now you've got a house that you've signed a contract for, and then what the hell's going on there?
Exactly. Imagine, there's another one. You go get a gaming house. You have to sign a contract for 6 months or a year, and your team leaves. No, it can't happen. Yeah, stability. That's the word, Loco. Stability. I'm looking for the word stability. Yeah, I think gaming houses will happen. But one of the problems that we have in the UK is the price of houses, the price of rent. It's not cheap. No. Like a lot of people have their gaming houses abroad. Poland, I think I was talking to Ravano. It's like €300 to rent a house in Poland. I was like, at the time, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm off to Poland then to start choke gaming. Like, I can house a team for €300. It's like 180 quid and 200 something quid a month. Like, you couldn't do that here. You're looking at cheapest 3-bed house, even in Coventry. Yeah, we're not London. 650 quid minimum.
Definitely.
A month. Where are you going to get? And then not only that money you need food, and you got to pay the bills and all that jazz. And unless you're getting some serious sponsorship money, and don't get me wrong, these sponsors can afford it. They can. They've got big pockets, but they're not just going to throw money away for the sake of it, for the sake of giving money out. Because they don't see us as a charity either. So they want to see. But gaming houses, I think, are the way. Yeah, I think gaming houses will help. But I had an idea actually back. I had the property that we were going to use as a gaming house. It was massive in Coventry, absolutely huge. You could fit like maybe 5 teams in there, and I was going to speak to other teams, like Infused FM, and say, "Hey, do you want to come in on this with us? Let's house the players. In fact, let's make a whole Big Brother show. Let's just film it. Let's create some content, and let's see the teams playing against each other, arguing against each other, and then go into land, create a whole documentary about this thing. It's all about content as well. Content's key." But it didn't happen. But but I think gaming houses will happen. They've happened in the past. 4 Kings used to have a gaming house for their Counter-Strike team. But no, I don't think any teams in the UK do have a gaming house, do they?
No, I don't think so. Not for League, at least, anyway. Definitely not.
I think contracts and salaries before a gaming house are needed.
Yeah, definitely.
I think gaming house would be the last step, maybe.
So
but first we need to get contracts, and then we need to make sure we can get these guys salaries so they can commit as many hours as they can to the game to be the best that they can be. And then we could look at gaming houses to get the team together.
So how do you think the the scene will grow in the next 5 years?
How will it grow?
Yeah, we're considering
how
fast it's gone in the last year and a half. I mean, not even a year and a half, year.
I think if esports carries on, if we keep going the way we're going, in 5 years' time, you will see 10 teams sponsored financially from the UK. And when I say financially, I'm not talking about £100 here and there. I'm talking about thousands of pounds to make them viable businesses. I think we'll see at least 10 teams in a position where they are a profitable business, where they're able to offer their players the right conditions, and the players will be happy playing for them. There'll be more stability. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to see more leagues, more tournaments, to the point where even if we had an Epic LAN, right, and then a month later we got Insomnia, then a month later we got ESL, then a month later we've got another tournament. If we've got a tournament a month, then ultimately as well, there's something to play for every month. Or maybe a league. Maybe we need a league, like the football has a Premier League. We used to have them in Counter-Strike back in the day. It was the one called CSGN. It was like 4 divisions, like a football league. We played week in, week out, and it created content. It created a buzz, and we don't have that. There's gaps in between everything, and those gaps is where boredom kicks in, where things change. Maybe we don't need gaps. There is some longevity, some leagues, but I think in 5 years' time we're going to see more money involved in UK sports, and hopefully maybe even our own big leagues where other teams from Europe will want to come and play in rather than us going over there. Maybe they want to come over here.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I'm actually slightly worried about. Not that teams would come over here, but we've got ESL now where we will get a Challenger Series spot from it, and I'm slightly worried that a team might come over. You get 2 European players and 3 UK players, and just try and get into the Challenger Series that way.
Yeah, they did it in CS:GO in the UK. The team called United Estonia won the UK Premiership. That's all I got to say. They made the roster so it had enough UK players on, but I don't think they always used them. I can't remember how it went, but I think in the final it was like 4 Estonians or something. But this is but I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't 4. I don't know. Maybe it was 3. But yeah, there's nothing stopping European teams coming out. I don't think it'd be more of a worry. I think it'd be more, wow, these EU players are coming over here, to play in our stuff. I think it's cool. It adds more competition to the scene. And as long as there's 3 UK players, right, then it's fine.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I just think it will improve the league. What I was fearful of more than anything, is with teams like Choke and etc. who are still growing and still building, and they still don't have masses of financial investment. That some guy who's bored, who's got some money, maybe he did an esports thing back in the day and it didn't work out for him. He's like, well, I got all this money. There's a Challenger Series slot qualifier. Potentially could make my money into, could get again Challenge Series and technically LCS. Maybe I'll invest. Realistically, you need about 10 grand to invest in a team to really give it a good going, real good go. Maybe you just go, I'll just drop 10 grand on this. Or maybe I'll make something. What I was fearful of is people coming in thinking it was a quick money maker and just coming in, throwing loads of money, get a group of players and killing it off completely by investing too much. Because what can happen is you can pump so much money into something that it kills itself. And I've seen that happen. We had the Omega sector in Birmingham, the biggest land centre the UK has ever seen. High tech, awesome stuff, too expensive, too much money, died. And that's what can happen. Companies can start throwing money around everywhere, and they just die. So what I'm more worried about is if we get loads of people all eyes on this, and there's a Challenger Series qualifying spot, I'm worried that people are going to come in and throw money at it and kill it. That'd be my biggest fear. Not that other players are going to come from Europe to play. I think that's cool. It would only be cool. It would only be terrible if it was a full EU lineup, because we don't get the same opportunities over there. But that would be my biggest worry, that people will come in and throw too much money into it, because it has to be a gradual growth. It can't be instant growth. Yeah. Otherwise, it just goes. Because what happens is, if they all jump ship, it goes. 4 Kings, Intel sponsorship, yeah. Gaming house, boom. Intel pull out, go Dignitas happens to 4 Kings, dead. You can't put your eggs in one basket. And if people come in with a load of money and then they suddenly take all that money out, like Football League, all that money pumping in. Remember all the Premier League teams who started getting in debt and stuff because they could no longer pay their players' wages because all the money that they suddenly got was no longer coming in, or they couldn't fund it anymore. And all these big teams became small teams, and the small teams over gradually grown became big teams like Southampton and co. Some of the bigger teams now are down in the lower divisions. That's what we can't have. We can't have a sudden influx of money, because when that money goes, we'll be screwed. Because then we can't fulfill our. Imagine some guys drops $1 million into all the UK orgs and goes, there you go, guys. Now you can pay your salaries. And fuck me, you can pay 20 grand a year salaries. Let's go. Oh, actually, I'm gonna take all that money out. Then all your players are like, oh shit, got no money now. So that's just what we got. That's what I'd be more fearful of.
Yeah,
too much investment too quick.
The one thing I'd be worried about, someone asked in the chat, like, why is it worried that because obviously you still have 3 UK players, and I know this could technically happen with a full UK lineup, and I don't know the way the contracts work, but let's say you had 3 fairly good UK players and 2 amazing European players, and then you get into Challenger Series, and you just get rid of the the UK players. What's to say that that doesn't happen? Like that would be a fear for me because they've come from outside into the UK. They don't necessarily care about the players like
I think
so much.
do they need the players to be competing or actually playing in it, or
I don't know. I imagine they would, but once they got in, like let's just say they won and they got into Challenger Series. Well, once they've got into Challenger Series, they could just get rid of the players, and now they've got Challenger Series spot, use the money that they've got and just get some new players in. That would be my worry.
Yeah, that could happen. Frozen Dawn just said, is that an issue that with UK players being not good enough? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, look at, I don't know if it's a good example to use, but look at Ex-Nihilo. When Chewed Up and Maxlaw originally played in that lineup with, I can't remember who the rest of the players were, in the original Team 5's team that was going through the Challengers rankings. How that evolved, that team that qualified wasn't necessarily the team that was the last lineup that they had. They removed people, whether they were good enough or they weren't, or the commitment wasn't there anymore. I have no idea. I wasn't involved in that organization, but we could see there a lot of changes got made. And they brought in new players, they spent money on new players, didn't work out necessarily for them. But I guess that's a risk you have to take. I would think more so it would be a case of if they do the ESL, then there has to always be X amount of UK players in it. A bit like in football back in the day when you could only have so many foreigners in your team. That's changed now. You can field a team with no English or British people playing in it. But there was a time when you could only use like I think 2 people from a foreign country that was outside of say the EU. That's the only thing you could do. Maybe you could say, right, you can only have 2 people on this roster in this squad from outside of the UK. I don't know how to do it really. It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Yeah, I just think if it was a UK team, they'd be less likely to remove them because they're more interested in the UK growth. I assume. Like me and you anyway, we'd be more interested. Maybe some others may be more interested in just pure business and they just want the money or whatever else. Someone was saying that isn't that, as you said, isn't that an issue with just UK players not being good enough? I can see that that might be the case, but you know, if you're good enough to get into the Challenger Series, like why should you be able to just be thrown away like from there just because there's like there's an ex-LCS player who's been kicked out and you just go, well, he's free, I'm just going to put him off. See you later, UK guy, or see you later, or the European guy. I don't see. Life's not fair, but I don't see how that can be fair. If you
Maybe they should introduce something like they have in the football, where I think going back to football, we can only like transfer windows. You can only pick someone up in a certain window. Like I thought with the last ESL season, I think they've changed it for this one, but you could like literally change your whole team like 2 weeks prior to the LAN finals. And is that fair on a group of players that have just played for the last 4 months? And you could just go and change them out 2 weeks prior to it? No, it's not cool. I think like there has to be a strict transfer window when you can make changes, and you have to stick by that window. But then again, the problem is again with like League of Legends, even the LCS has massive gaps between the series. Things need to be closer together. There needs to be windows. Yeah, there needs to be windows, and that will stop the people just being swapped out whenever they please. Just put transfer windows in. I think ESL have addressed that this time around. I think they don't allow it to be done. Yeah. Frozen Dawn. Yeah, they do have a sub limit. But there is a potential if you don't, I think, like 5. So if you don't use your subs, you could literally just, at the last hurdle, go, actually, I'll change our whole team out. Yeah. So, and you could do that 2 weeks prior to the LAN finals, so you could completely screw someone over. That's just spent like a season getting there.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, as you said, ESL have made mistakes in the past, and they're rectifying those, and we're still like a baby in terms of how we're developing as a scene, and I think these like issues will get ironed out eventually, so it's not too much of a problem. We've seen a massive growth in the last year. I'm sure moving on in a year's time, if we did like another talk, you'd probably go, oh, look how all these things that we talked about last time, they've disappeared. It's all good now. I mean, this is just speculation because I don't even know. Maybe if you get into Challenger Series and you sign the contract, you have to have the players that you qualified from winning ESL. I don't know. I don't know how that's actually going to work. So it's complete speculation.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing as well, I was just going to touch on something. which is frustrating for me, is when I see leagues or tournaments nowadays making the same mistakes I saw happen 10, 12 years ago. The sad part is that if all the people that were involved in esports when I was playing in 2001, up until now, the scene would already be 15, 10 years ahead of itself. What I've seen over the years, unfortunately, is something happen. Those people drop off because there wasn't any viability in the business then. And someone else comes along and does the same thing and makes the same mistakes. And then another thing makes the same mistakes and the same mistakes over and over again. And everything's getting rinsed and repeated. So you need to hope more people now hopefully will stay in the scene long enough for it to grow rather than everyone leaves it. People leave it and then someone else comes along and makes a gaming league and then that fails. And you know what I mean? Or an org. I've seen so many mistakes, and the sad part is I've tried to sometimes address these mistakes with people. I'm not saying I'm the be all and end all of everything, you know, Tom. But I've addressed some people with certain things I've said, and I've tried to give my advice to. And some people have listened, people haven't. I'm not saying it needs to be done a certain way, but when I see the same mistakes being made, I like to try and help people with that. And if they don't listen, don't listen. But yeah, that's the painful side of it for me. For someone who's been around for a long time, to see the same mistakes made.
I just want to point out to what Rob was just saying. He was saying that basically, you know, if a team gets promoted to the Premier League, and say one of the players isn't good enough, you gave the example of left back, then they should be cut, obviously, because you want to get improved for the next level. That's a fair enough point. I just wanted to point that's actually quite a fair point as a counter argument to what I was saying about being worried about players getting dropped off I wasn't really saying if they weren't good enough, but that could be seen how it was. I was just more worried about UK players just getting dropped because there's just someone free. But that's fair enough. I just want to wrap up on a fun question which I did last week. I don't know if you saw it at all. But
are we wrapping up now? We've only been on the call for 3 hours and 32 minutes.
3 hours, yeah.
We broke records today.
So
I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's been a good conversation. So you're going to Mars in 2020 on a one-way trip.
Yeah.
Talking just about personality-wise, if you could take 3 players from the UK scene with you, who would you take and why?
3 players from the UK scene if I was going to get stuck on Mars?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. 3 players to take with me. Let me think now. I'd bring Max Law because he can play the piano and he'd keep me entertained musically. I would bring I don't know. Who else would I bring? I'd bring Seb because Seb's got good taste in food, and he'd either, if he can't cook it, I'm sure you'll find ways to order it from another planet in. And he's a nice guy. The third player, there's so many. I bring maybe Josh because he's such a big diva, or Ruben because he's such a London geezer, or maybe trying to think of their usefulness. So Seb for the food thing, for ordering the big food. Max Law for his entertainment value for playing the piano, and then the other player would have to be oh wow, who could it be? The third player would let me just go with someone. Maybe we'll go with Josh because everyone needs a bit of a diva in their life, and everyone needs a bit of a drama queen to keep, to be a bit entertaining and keep you on your toes. Let's go with Josh.
Cool. Do you have any shout outs before we finish?
Yeah, give everyone a shout. Actually, I want a big shout out to everyone that came along tonight and watched and spent the time. Some people I've noticed have been in there for nearly the whole time. I think the whole time we've been here chatting. So I want a big shout out to everyone that came on, came in here, asked questions, and got involved in the chat and actually sat there and listened to me talk for the last 3 hours or so. I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very thankful. Yeah, I'd like to offer them all a big shout out. A big shout out, Marek, for inviting me along, and also Luna from TCA. And thank you for hosting me. I've been asking me to come along. Big thank you to you guys. Big shout out to you too. I'd like to give a big shout out to all the players that I previously worked with at Choke Gaming, and all the people I was involved with Rob, etc. Big shout out to everyone who's going to be getting involved with this news thing with me, Team Senses. The Dota guys that previously played at Choke, they're going to be getting involved with that. Big shout out to them. They're an awesome bunch of lads too. Big shout out as well to people like, big shout out to everyone who gets involved in UK esports and promotes it, and all the companies that get involved and sponsor it. And obviously, big shout out to our own sponsors with Team Senses now, and the company I work for, Crucial, G2 Omega, and Online Key Store. Yeah, just a big shout out to everyone and all the friends I've made. Everyone knows who they are. Big shout out to Chris Craddock as well for coming in here. Big shout out to him as well for being such a cool dude. But yeah, no, that's, I guess, is all the shout outs I can do. Let me think. Yeah, and a big shout out to the current Choke Gaming lineup as well. I hope those guys perform well and do the name proud. Big shout out to them. Let's hope they do well with that. So, because I would like to see Choke Gaming still do well.
Yeah, of course. Especially
no salt, no salt there. Yeah, that's a big shout out. There we go, big shout out. Yeah,
okay,
that's it. I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. No one else. No, and a big shout out to League UK as well, Mr. Gary Kimmelman. Without him, who else would make me want to leave TeamSpeak before I want to? You know, who else would talk your ear off to the point you want to leave TeamSpeak? I'm only joking, Gary. But yeah, big shout out Gary Kimmelman, puts all his time and effort into yourself as well. Definitely. And a big shout out to the people involved in tournaments. You know, doing things that we need to do to evolve and grow esports.
Yeah, cool.
And a big shout out to my mum as well, for making this opportunity possible. Shout out to my dad, who's up in heaven. God bless you. And that's it. There we go. All right, cool.
Cool. Thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on. Shorty. Shorty, big shout out to Shorty as well.
Poor Shorty, man. Left behind.
Who else? Yeah, poor Shorty. Sorry about that, Shorty.
Jeez.
Didn't even take him. Well, he's not a player.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'll let you off then.
The last time he played, he wasn't that good either. So, you know, played Hots with him the other day. Wasn't that great? So, no, I don't want to bring him with me. He did my head in. Also, shout out to Vince's mum. Thanks, Dupes. Big shout out to Dupes. Dupes is like the biggest guy. I should reword that because he's now going to think I mean that. Dupes is like the guy with the biggest heart in UK Dota. That's what I meant to say. Like, it was nearly coming out wrong. Sorry, Dupes. Yeah, he's full of love, and the guy, I got a lot of respect for him. Big shout out to Dupes. And a big shout out to, yeah, that's it. That's all my shout outs.
Awesome.
I know that, and then, hold on, there was someone else. Let's have a look. No, I can't go back up the chat. No. Oh, and Megs, of course, as well. Yeah, big shout out to Megs. Yeah, and that's it.
Cool. So, yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in again for another episode of Talking Esports. I have to say a big thank you to Vince for coming on today. He's one of the nicest guys I know in the scene, and I wish him all the best for the future with his new team. If you'd like to follow me or Vince on Twitter, our handles are below, so we can continue conversations if you'd like to about anything that we've talked about here. I'm always open for chats. I'm sure Vince is also too. Don't forget to follow TCA on social media, which is also below these, just right there, just in the corner. And we've got another show next week, which is going to start at 7:30 instead of 7 o'clock. And we've got Dom Sacco on, who is a journalist in the scene, and he'll be giving us a little bit about his expertise and showing us like what he basically does as a journalist. Let us know what you think of the show, and feel free to throw any feedback my way or on TCA as well. And I've just been informed that TCA episode 3 should be out tomorrow, I hope. So just keep your eyes out for that, and just check out what you think about it and let us know. Thanks again, everyone, and see you next week.